Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. That's right, it's opening day. Couple games already underway. A lot more getting ready to start here at 3 o'clock. A couple night games. Cardinals already in a rain delay, which is just a great way to kick off the new season. But we got a lot to get into today. We'll talk baseball. We got to talk Showboat, Sweet 16 back in action tonight. So a lot to get to. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm not gonna make it very long this year on my cracking on Rob Manfred in baseball. In fact, this may be a record. Before the first Cardinal pitch is ever thrown, I'm going to violate it.
Wow. How so?
I just heard him on Colin Cowherd, and it drives me absolutely stark raving mad when I hear these leagues talk about growing the game. And he's so proud of what they experienced in Tokyo and how great it is for growing the game. Tell me how much the game is growing in Tampa, St. Pete. Tell me how much the game is growing in the Bay Area with the homeless A's, or even in Las Vegas, or even in Sacramento, where they're going to try to light and land and play games this year. Tell me how great the game is growing on the south side of Chicago.
That's, Brett, you raised a lot of good points.
What does growing the game get to the fan of 10 years? Let's say you're the 30-year-old fan of the Atlanta Braves, and you're paying more for everything, like we pay for everything, than you've ever paid in your life.
Sure.
How much does growing the game help that fan?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. I mean,
do they get the rebate at the end of the year? This is the growing the game rebate.
No, not at all.
Thank you for buying your season tickets this year.
That's right. No, I don't know why we can't just call it. I mean, especially with the Tokyo series. I mean, why can't we just call it what it was? There are a lot of Japanese players on both of those teams, and they knew that it would be a big hit in Japan to send the Cubs and especially the Dodgers over there, play a couple games before the season starts, then come back over here. I don't know why we have to try to hide it behind growing the game.
Exactly. Why this charade? Why this insult to everyone's collective intelligence when you should just say the biggest star in the sport of baseball, no doubt, one of the biggest sports stars in American sports, Shohei Ohtani, is big box office. Yep. We can make a lot of money. It's naked capitalism at its best. Windfall profits at its best. If they weren't drawing, we wouldn't be playing. Right. If they keep drawing like this, we'll play the first week over there.
Right.
Just say it.
Sure. And nobody would, I mean, it wouldn't, I don't know what the thought is of what it would do if you just said that, but I don't think that's realistic. I think everyone would go, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Cool, whatever.
This international yen under the guise of growing the game, again, what does it get rank and file? What does growing the game for the NBA, what does that give to Grizzlies season ticket holders? 24-year season ticket holders. What does that get them?
Nothing.
A jersey, maybe with, Grizzlies on the front in the language of wherever the game's growing.
Sure, maybe.
In the team store?
Maybe.
Okay, yippee.
That's about it. That really is about that.
That's about it. Another thing with Manfred today. Brian, tell me why in the world there wasn't a noon first pitch game somewhere, like in Cincinnati, the traditional home opener place for hundreds of years in baseball. Why crowd all these games in the 3 o'clock window?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because you're right. I mean, we could have had a couple noon games and kind of staggered some of these, because it was 2 games at 2 o'clock, and then it feels like 100 games at 3 o'clock, and then 2 games later.
And very little at night. We're taking on college basketball in the NBA tonight.
Yeah,
and smartly, in baseball's credit, there's not really that wild. Why are they opening there? Why didn't they open at the other place? Now, you might look at one or two, and one is Milwaukee in the Bronx playing the Yankees, but this is the year for Milwaukee to go to the Yankees, so it couldn't be Yankees playing at the Dome in Milwaukee. But I mentioned on the south side of Chicago, where at first pitch here in a few minutes is going to be about 55 degrees. Well, at 6:15, after it gets dark and it's kind of a little bit cold and rainy anyway. It's going to be about 45 at the end of the game. Start that at noon today.
Yeah. I saw a video yesterday of where the Rays are playing down at the Yankees spring training complex and how they've done all the signage and they've made it try to feel homey for the Rays. And the guy that was doing the report on this was, I guess, a local Tampa Bay TV reporter, and he goes, and because of all of these changes, Major League Baseball has decided to have the Rays home opener later than most teams. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that they were starting later. That's weird. Tomorrow, one day, they're starting tomorrow instead of the Angels. The Athletics. They don't start until maybe next weekend at their new home in Sacramento. They're up in Seattle this weekend.
Well, use home very loosely there.
Their temporary home,
transactional. Where the Athletics home is, and look what collectively sports did to the East Bay.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, it's
brutal. East Bay could have helped itself on some things for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to completely eliminate that, but we also know how valuable being the home of one of the big sports teams, what it's like, and the pride that they had in it for so long with Raiders, Warriors, and A's, and now just ripped their hearts out, treated them horribly, and did it collectively.
Mm-hmm.
Did it in the name of chasing more windfall profits. Yep. And look, I know our business have to make profit. I know that. I'm a supply-sider, market-oriented, Milton Friedman devotee as any human ever. But when is enough? Just always after that next thing in the team store. Record for me, I didn't make it to opening pitch without violating my ripping on baseball.
I mean, I hate that the Cardinals game was delayed. I mean, good Lord, we didn't even get the first pitch from the Birds, and you've already broken it.
I made it to late June last year.
Yeah, you went a really long time last year. Maybe it's good for you to get it out of the way early and not have to worry about not kidding on it.
Just the picture of him sends me into just maniacal craze. Maniac. Maniacal's already a maniac.
Yeah, no.
I can't even talk when I think about him.
He has that effect on people, especially baseball fans.
Cold and wet at Busch Stadium, already delayed. Going to try to wedge it in. Baseball, they do schedule like this. Have tomorrow off for most to make sure you can probably get it in, but it looks like it's going to at least be a delay. Boy, the first Menards ad hit great on FanDuel Sports Network, didn't it?
Oh, man.
Always does every year.
Every time. Every single time. But, yeah, no. I saw there was like a specific FanDuel Sports Network Midwest Take Me Out to the Ball game that they posted earlier today on Twitter, but it was Take Me Out to the Television or something like that. It was kind of strange, but, hey, opening day.
Did you see across the FanDuels, did you see their pregame show?
No.
Well, they had one, and I'm watching it and rather like it.
Yeah.
And then guess who pops up as baseball analyst for the rest of the year on the FanDuel network?
Oh, geez, I don't know. Who?
A true lunatic that needs to be at a padded cell for the criminally insane. Keith Olbermann was on my TV.
Yeah.
Where is my remote control?
You're trying to find it as quick as you can.
I was in a swivet to get. I won't listen to him for 2 seconds on anything.
I had a buddy send me this earlier on MLB Network earlier today. The topic when he was watching it said, "Wake up call: are fans sleeping on the Twins or the Cardinals more?" I don't know.
Well, they're sound asleep, aren't they?
Yeah, I was about to say. I texted him back and go,
Some great Cardinal notes. First time, obviously, ever to open against the Twins. Only the second opener against an American League team. Opened 2023. I'm reading straight from the Cardinal notes. I didn't know any of this before this morning. Opened against the Blue Jays in 2023. Then you go down to this one. With his start in right field today, 22-year-old Jordan Walker becomes only the 6th in Major League Baseball history to make 3 or more opening day starts in right field before turning age 23. He joins Al Kaline, Hall of Famer. Ty Cobb, Hall of Famer. Tony Conigliaro, Hall of Fame black eye from a wild pitch. Jose Guillen and Jason Hayward.
Wow.
Started out in good company, kind of ended up in bad company, though, didn't
well,
it?
I know how you
Started
feel
out
about,
with Kaline and Cobb, and kind of a depreciating value.
And I know how you feel about Hayward, so, well, yeah.
Almost won't mention his name like Olbermann.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least he's in the mix there. I guess we'll either finish out in the front of that list or the back of the list.
And remember a few weeks ago, and it was sometimes in late February, and I heard Tim Kurkjian that I love on baseball, and just a really, really nice man. But he was talking they were doing a Cardinal game, and he said he thought Nolan Arenado was the greatest third baseman of all time. We talked about it, remember?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And we said, what about Brooks Robinson, Mike Schmidt? Yeah. What about George Brett? What about Chipper Jones? What about Adrian Beltre? All-time opening day starts at third base. Brooks Robinson won with 20. I think he is the best third baseman of all time. 2, Adrian Beltre, 18. Gary Gaetti, Wade Boggs tied for 17.
Wow.
Mike Schmidt, Aramis Ramirez at 16. Scott Rowling, Greg Nettles, Eddie Matthews at 15. Kenny Boyer, Buddy Bell, Eddie Yost at 14. A whole host of people at 13, including Ron Santo and Robin Ventura and Chipper Jones, Evan Longoria. At 21, 12 straight opening days at third base, Nolan Arenado.
Wow. How about that?
Terry Pendleton's in that group. Tim Wallach, who played minor league baseball here in Memphis for the Chicks at the Fairgrounds, in that group. George Brett in that group.
Wow.
George Kell from Swifton, Arkansas, Hall of Famer in that group.
How about that? Some good third basemen in that group. I mean, obviously, if you're going to have that many starts at third base, you're a pretty good player.
Love Tim Kurkjian. I just don't think Arenado is the best ever.
Hey, I love people talking good about the Cardinals, but I don't know about
I lose my mind on opening day on baseball, don't I?
You sure did. I mean, a minute into the show. And
damn Olbermann's fault.
Well, I think you have several people to blame, but not yourself. Certainly don't blame yourself.
Oh, no, never.
For losing it on Major League Baseball.
No, never have any self-reflection.
No, of course not.
A good case study of your own self. Don't ever do that.
No, blame us.
Leave the text line to do all that.
That's right. But no, speaking of opening day, I am rocking my Memphis Redbirds, Memphis Grizzlies baseball jersey in honor of the Grizzlies playing tonight and opening day of baseball. So.
Well, you got Ja, right?
It was only 12 is the one that they sold. So Ja. But it's a nice one.
Looking good.
I like this one.
Got a Redbird lid on.
That's right. Yeah, we're all baseballed out. So we are ready for
only day I match you with a hat on the show.
Well, I told Landon, because you told him off air yesterday that this would be the only day that he saw you with a hat on, and I asked him before I left. I said, so since he's wearing a hat tomorrow, should I not wear a hat tomorrow? We'll just flip flop, because I always wear a hat. I mean, I don't know. There's very few times I come in here without
you wear a hat. Well, though.
Thank you.
It's like Johnny said. You wore it well.
Thank you. You got to wear it well if you're going to wear it a lot. So that is, I guess, a positive. The Grizzlies
and rare for me, Cardinal hat, right. Ole Miss polo on. I'm not taking any chances. I don't know when the next time opening day will coincide with Ole Miss being in the Sweet 16.
That is true.
Didn't happen last time because this is the Cardinals' earliest opening day. So when Ole Miss made it in 2001, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So today, not taking any chances for when number 3 rolls around.
Yeah, maybe don't. Yeah, don't place bets on that. But no, it's a great sports day with opening day here. Grizzlies in action with a good slate in the NBA, and then obviously the Sweet 16 gets kicked off tonight with a handful of games starting right at 6 o'clock when we get off here. So really, really fun day of sports, and really whatever you fancy, you'll have a little bit of it tonight.
I do love the kind of having everything right now, the confluence and opening day in the baseball season. I'm ready for it, but I'm ready for these games tonight, and just see how Maryland will react with all the Kevin Wheeler talk. He's as good as gone, it feels like.
Yeah, I actually saw a report this morning that said he had informed his team earlier today that he would be taking the job.
Well, that's good as gone, isn't it?
Yeah, that's about as good as it gets. So, I mean, with that information, if that is true, the question will be, how does his team react tonight, knowing that, is that kind of motivation? Let's play for coach, or is it kind of a little bit of checkout
he's leaving
factor in
where?
Villanova. So he's gonna take the Villanova job, is what I've heard at least. Or no, not Villanova. What job is he taking? I can't remember.
It is Villanova, isn't it?
I think it is Villanova. But now I'm second guessing
and
myself.
I don't even have to ask the question. Villanova is a better job than Maryland,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But, it's that kind of thing that we're seeing now in basketball where, it is Villanova. Yeah. But, it's that thing we see in basketball now where, you've got a coach like Kevin Willard who has his team playing at an extremely high level, but they're still standing, and Villanova's sitting there going, transfer portal is portaling right now.
Clock ticking.
We got to go out and get some guys. We got to figure this out.
Good point.
And so it's one of those weird things, and he's been weird in his press conferences over the last week or so, kind of about everything going on both at Maryland and openings that are out there. I'll be curious tonight with them going up against Florida how they come out of the gates.
Puncher's chance tonight for Maryland or better?
I think a puncher's chance. I mean, Florida's really good.
I think Florida got their bad game out of the way.
Yeah, it feels like
and it wasn't that bad. It was a lot of opponent. But everybody knows at the end of it, very rarely, UConn, they were able to last year. North Carolina was able to in 2009 with Tyler Hansbrough. Sometimes you can just bulldoze through and nobody can touch you. You could replay the tournament 80 times and the same champion's going to come out of it. Most of the time, though, you have that one game of near-death experience.
Yeah.
And I thought UConn had Florida late. I thought they had them.
Yeah, it felt like it at several different times that they were going to be able to pull
Pistol
that out.
Britches Hurley thought he had them too.
He sure did.
And if he did, you talking about a tough out.
Oh, man.
UConn get to this weekend with that championship pedigree, DNA, institutional confidence. They'd have been trouble.
You are absolutely right. And we're so close to seeing it. I would have loved to see it. But unfortunately, UConn, they start. I saw he did a press conference the other day, and he was like, it's kind of weird, off season starting earlier than it has the last 2 years. So I guess a little different feeling in stores.
When's it end? Yeah. When's start? When's it begin?
Great point.
When's the end of off season?
It's a great point. But we'll talk a lot about the Sweet 16 games, the action tonight. We'll talk a little bit about tomorrow's games as well. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Steve Macy. He'll join us to talk Showboats. It's opening week. Sunday, the Showboats will kick off the season against the Michigan Panthers, an 11 a.m. kickoff on ESPN, but it'll be at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. So we'll talk to Steve about what to expect this season from the team and what to expect going there and watching these games. He'll join us in our next segment at 3:30. 3:45, we'll talk about the Sweet 16, we'll talk about the action for tonight and a little bit about tomorrow's games. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spa Track and the Front Office Show. He'll join us to talk the NBA. Plenty to get to with him. We'll talk the Grizzlies. We'll talk about LeBron James and his buzzer beater last night after appearing on Pat McAfee and kind of going around on everything. I mean, really had some interesting quotes yesterday on Pat McAfee's show. So we'll talk a lot of NBA with Keith Smith. 4:30, Doug Kazarian from OnlyPlayers.com in Vegas. He'll join us. We'll get some picks from him, NBA, Major League Baseball, Sweet 16. We'll get it all with Doug Kazarian. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us to talk Tigers. We'll recap what we saw in the first round game for the Tigers and what this offseason will look like now, and maybe even get to a little bit of spring football. They got started earlier this week, and certainly a lot of position battles taking place, especially the big one at quarterback. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's their first ever preseason pool, spa, and patio event going on now at Family Leisure. Pools from $19.99, spas from $29.99, cold plunge and swim spas are priced to move, and don't forget about the patio furniture set starting at $799. Stop by today and register to win either a free pool, spa, or patio set only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
We're Sports Time, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. He's Bryant. I'm Brett. Landon Schmidt, our great producer, with us. And we welcome you to be with us until 6 o'clock. You can text and call at 901-360-8255. That's Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will join us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Always in our Family Leisure studios, always live, always local, and this hour always brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. They're at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is the Sweet 16 kicking off tonight with first game on CBS. BYU taking on Alabama. This is really probably the game I'm most excited about. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how Florida looks tonight. Definitely excited to see if Duke can continue their dominance they've shown through the first two rounds, and see what Arkansas can do in the final game tonight with John Calipari getting his guys moving in the right direction into the Sweet 16. But BYU Alabama feels like the most exciting game on paper. The way that both of these offenses operate feels like you could see a lot of points and a lot of back and forth. But two coaches, one that has shown he can get it done at Alabama, the other one that's brand new to the college scene but is showing very early his potential as the head coach for BYU. Feels like a really, really fun matchup, and we'll see who comes out of it. I believe, I don't have it in front of me. I actually don't remember who I picked. I might have picked BYU in this game. It's in my backpack. I'll check it later before we start talking about it again. But I do hope for a really fun.
You did?
I picked BYU in this game. All right, so hopefully the Cougars can pull through for me. But I just want an exciting game, and I feel like a couple of these matchups will be very exciting and really could come down to the wire. You mentioned with Kevin Willard and all of this news coming out about him. What does Maryland show tonight against Florida? Arizona, can they hang around? We've seen them look great offensively at times this year. Can they go toe-to-toe with Duke? And I think a lot of people here locally, or we have Arkansas fans in this area, very excited to see what they can do tonight against Texas Tech. Feels like all of these games can't miss, and that's what the Sweet 16 should be.
It's a lot of Razorback fans, and BYU is going to be everybody's next year team. Mm-hmm. They could be trouble the rest of this year.
Yeah.
So Bama better play well. That's my top story. After tonight, only 12 teams will still be alive in the NCAA tournament. BYU and Bama in Newark. Bama minus 5.5, over and under is 175.5. Who plays any defense in that game? Maryland and Florida in San Francisco. Florida minus 6.5, over and under 156.5. Maryland's coach on his way out. That's really odd circumstances. Arizona, Duke in Newark, near New York City, and that's the real home of Duke University. They ought to move from Durham and place the campus right in the middle of Central Park West. That's where the Duke campus should be. They're 9.5-point favorite, over and under 154.5. Cooper Flagg on his way to being MOP. And last game in San Francisco, Old Southwest Conference battle. Texas Tech minus 5.5 over Cal State, Arkansas. Over and under 147.5. Grant McCasland, once in the shadow of the Razorbacks when he was coach of the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Now he can really exact some revenge on having to live in that long shadow of the Razorbacks.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, the Grizzlies back in action tonight on the road against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And it has not been fun playing the Oklahoma City Thunder this year for the Grizzlies, or really for anybody in the NBA. They have shown a dominance this year, and that's why they are safely in the 1 seed in the Western Conference. But it doesn't get easier after that. We talked about this really, really fun 3-game homestand that starts after the OKC game. Home against the Lakers, home against the Celtics, home against the Golden State Warriors. I mean, those are the heavy hitters of the NBA. It's going to be fun to see those teams come into town. But, whatever happens tonight, I think it's safe to assume that's probably not going to be very fun tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, just got to get it over with.
Just got to get it over with. So let's say you lose tonight.
Take your medicine.
What happens in these next 3 home games? Lakers, Boston, Golden State, those are all games that you'd like to go out there and win, especially against the Lakers and Golden State, 2 teams that are right around you in the standings. Then you got to go on the road to Miami, who hasn't been very good this year, but you don't want to slip up against them. And then Detroit, maybe one of the stories of the season with how they've been playing this year until, maybe you get close to the end of the season and guys start resting for the playoffs. But these next 4 games are not going to be easy, but especially in this homestand, Grizzlies have to win a couple of them.
My not top story, opening day for America's pastime. Well, it's past the time that baseball was America's pastime. We know that. We know we are a football country with NFL number 1 by 212,000 miles over number 2, which is college football. Ratings, rights fees, attendance, interest, all tells you that. If you deny that, then you're probably in the Flat Earth Society. But it's just that way. But there's still a lot of great things about baseball, and there's a lot of good notes about today, like the Mets. 41-22 all time on opening day. Wow. A .651 winning percentage. Across town for the Yankees, for the first time in Major League, or first time in Yankees history, they started a catcher as a leadoff batter. And what did he do with that leadoff at bat for the first time in Major League Baseball history? A catcher hit a home run to start the season. Austin Wells did that. Paul Skeens, the youngest Pirate opening day starter since 1900. I think it was Rube Waddell. Don't fact check me on it, though. Joe Buck calling all the action in the Bronx. Happy opening day, everyone.
It's fun, and thank you for that information. I just placed a bet on the Mets to win today, so
it's a good time to be a Mets fan.
I'm right there with Landon. I'm rooting on the Mets today.
Started 0-8 in their history, and then this torrid. Wow. Anything in baseball with a 600 percentage is really good.
That is really, really good. Well, I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's get to our first break. And when we return, we're talking showboats with Steve Macy.
Join us celebrating 26 years of Napa Cafe. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad. Or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. I'd sure love to see you.
What happens to former real estate agents when they want to sell their homes? This is Sheldon Rosenberg, Ashley Sheldon, with Mark Spencer Realtors. I am so proud and feel so honored that former real estate agents contact me when they want to sell their homes. They know that I've been in the business for quite a while, have a great deal of experience, and know that I am good at marketing. Not merely putting a sign in the yard and making it sales. Over the years, I have developed a highly successful strategic marketing program that can mean the difference in what you make and you win. Talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, but make sure that I am one of them. So if you or someone you know is thinking about selling a home, remember what other real estate agents have been in business doing. Then call me, Sheldon Rosenberg, at 483-0546, or email me at memphisrelocate.com. I will wait to hear from you and take advantage of this good market. That's 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Thank you.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
The first ever preseason pool spa and patio event is going on now at Family Leisure. First time ever. Unbelievable savings. You want a pool? They're starting at just $19.99. How about a spa? They're starting at just $29.99. Patio furniture sets are starting at $7.99. Cold plunges and swim spas are just, well, I can't even say those prices. But I will say they're priced to move. There are so many deals going on right now during the first ever preseason pool spa and patio event. You've got to come in and see the savings for yourself. But wait, there's more. You can register to win either a free pool, a spa, or a patio set. Yes, a free pool, spa, or patio set. Just stop by Family Leisure to sign up. This is a first time ever preseason pool, spa, patio event. It's going on right now at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Route 40. Family and fun come together.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Good afternoon. A couple of EMS calls in the last few minutes. Moving in the construction zone over here so far this afternoon as we check it out live again on 55 north and southbound between McLemore and South Parkway. Still looks good coming off the interstate I-40 right now onto Austin P Highway as you head outbound. Weimer's Jewelry, they want you to know they are your diamond engagement ring headquarters this coming bridal season. Go by and see them and save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry out there on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We're back in Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local in the Family Leisure Studios. And we got to talk some showboats. Finally, game week for the boats. They'll get the season kicked off Sunday morning against the Michigan Panthers. 11 o'clock, the kickoff time for the showboats. Steve, thanks so much for joining us. Steve Macy joins us, talk showboats. What should people expect this weekend when they go to the game on Sunday for the first game? I know the UFL kind of stretching opening weekend out. Game Friday night, I think one or two games on Saturday, then the showboats playing on Sunday. What should fans expect for opening week in the UFL and the first game at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium for the showboats?
Well, can I just start by saying it's game week, baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting to be back here and doing this for the third year in a row. It's awesome. I think you can expect a lot of the same. It's going to be a really, really fun game day atmosphere. I would prefer not to play it Sunday at 11 o'clock. I like to play a little later, but we've got what we've got, and it'll be it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of excitement about the season to start, and everything that we're hearing and talking about is that the offensive and defensive lines have both been upgraded significantly, and that we can expect to see that maybe even be a major strength of the team this year, which I'm really excited about.
I am too, Steve. I'm looking forward to the season, and Sunday morning, bright and early Sunday morning, should be fun for those that want to attend. We know, largely a TV-driven product, but still people with a great chance to go out and have fun and enjoy the game against the Showboats and the Panthers, and that is very evocative for me of the original USFL with those two teams. Those have been stalwarts through all the different years of USFL and now UFL.
Yeah, it's fun that there's a little bit of history with this matchup for sure. And I think the other thing that's interesting is DJ Perry, our starting quarterback, had played for the Panthers, and so I'm very interested to see how he reacts to that. Does that make him more motivated? Does that make him nervous? What is it going to do to EJ during the game and kind of his psyche during? I think that's going to be a fascinating kind of side story. But I think that the biggest thing is that, professional football is back in Memphis. Yes, it was originally designed as a TV product, but one of the biggest emphasis that the league has is for us to start developing that fan base locally. And I think that's something that hasn't happened near as quickly as the TV base has grown. And I think part of it is just it's a phenomenal TV product in terms of all the behind-the-scenes things you get to see. And we're trying to break some of those barriers down and ensuring that every time that they go to an instant replay, we're syncing up with that with TV perfectly so that you can see. I'm not sure who we've got this week that'll be in the command center watching the replays, and you can hear that conversation live. I think that'll be really a great thing for everybody at the stadium to be able to see that, how quickly they look at it, how they decide it, and whether it's Mike Pereira or Dean Bendino, we'll get to see exactly what they're seeing and talking about.
Yeah, we will. And Steve, one thing that, like across the sport of football, it is a quarterback-driven, quarterback-centric football league, as all of them are, from junior high up. And so tell our listeners what you expect this year for the Showboats at quarterback, because if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance.
Well, I think one of the interesting things is that with TJ calling the plays and EJ running the plays, we've got a couple of guys with J as the second letter of their names that are going to be important here. But I think we're going to see a little bit more of a fast pace. I think they trust him to open the field up a little bit and to get the ball down the field and make sure that the defense can't just focus in on the running back, which I think we saw a lot of last year. And I just don't think we ever blocked real well. We were trying to really, really run the ball as the main focus of the offense, and I think that's going to be changed. I think there's going to be a lot more balance. I think we'll start chucking it around a little bit more than we had last year. I really didn't see us throwing it a lot until that last game when we saw Doug Martin take the play calling over and really open up an offense. So I hope we see a heck of a lot more of that this year. I think us in Memphis are used to seeing wide open offenses. That's what we've gotten used to here over the last 12, 15 years, and I think that's what we like. Mm-hmm. Sure, we'd love to see some hard-hitting defense to go along with it, but I think all of us have gotten accustomed to seeing some pretty fantastic offenses, and I like it too. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned play calling on the offensive side. It was announced earlier this week Ken Wisenhunt has taken a leave of absence from the team. Jim Turner is going to take over as the interim head coach, but Wisenhunt was also the team's offensive coordinator. Do we know who is going to take over that role in his absence and who's going to be calling plays for the offense?
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit of a by committee. I think TJ is going to get a lot of the ability to do things, but our new interim head coach Jim Turner is going to take a lot of oversight of how that offense can be called. At least that's what he was talking about earlier this week, while he gets comfortable with how it's being called. I think they're both playing a little possum right now, saying that they're going to simplify it and try to keep it easy. I think, personally, that we're probably getting ready to have a whole lot of fun on offense.
I'd love that. I would definitely love that. I remember last year when you joined us, you were one thing that you took a lot of pride in was that all of the Showboats games were going to be on the local radio and that people could tune in, driving around and listen to the Showboats game. What will that look like this year for the Showboats?
I mean, really excited to announce that, we announced this a couple weeks ago, but we have partnered with your sister station, Hot 107. And that's going to be the official station of the Showboats, carrying all home and road games. And once again, we're going to be the only team in the UFL that's got one of those radio deals that covers all of our games. And really excited about that. We'll have Eli Savoy and Russell Copeland on the call again. So their third straight year doing this. And, it is a point of pride. It's something that I think major sports franchises need to have. I think it signals to our community that this is a product that we're investing in and spending some money to make sure that you can consume it on the radio if you're unable to be there in person or to watch it on TV. That this is another medium to be able to catch the Showboats. I think that's important for us.
Definitely
great radio team. We're going to be great fun. And Sunday, what time kind of will the festivities begin around Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium property?
Well, we know that the tailgating opens at 7, and I've already gotten a few people that have told me they're going to be there no later than 8. And so I think there's some people that are getting ready to have a lot of fun on a Sunday morning, which is great. Doors will open at 10 a.m., You can get the ticket office will open about 90 minutes before, so 9:30, and we're going to be seated all on the north, south, and west side of the stadium. Kind of keep you out of that afternoon sun as that sun dips behind you, so you're not staring into it. And hopefully that'll make it a little more enjoyable than we had last year when we were on that east side.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know last year you had a lot of themes, a lot of giveaways, promotions for home games. Is there anything you can share with us, throughout the season that y'all will be doing this year?
Yeah, I think just focusing on the first two games, we have our Salute to Champions on Sunday. We're going to be recognizing a lot of high school and junior high teams that won either city or state titles this year, and I think I'm excited about that. I think we've got to do a great job of not just building the game of football with the youth, but building up youth sports in general in Memphis. And this is one of those ways that we can help do that. And then when we come back, we're on the road for a week, then we come back and play on Saturday, April 12th, and that is going to be our wrestling team. Excuse me, our wrestling team. And we're going to have it woven out throughout the game, and we'll have some matches going on pregame and halftime and some stuff in the game. And we talked about Jason Potter is our marketing lead, and he's the guru on this. And,
sure is.
He's so fired up about it, and I'm excited because I know we're going to be able to touch a lot of folks that maybe are big wrestling fans that haven't really been introduced to the Showboats, and I think there's an opportunity for us to do the same thing on the wrestling side. Football fans that haven't been introduced to wrestling, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Steve, you tell Potter I'll meet him in the middle of the squared circle.
I don't know. I don't think you want anything to do with him. He's in good shape.
I'm kidding. No,
Yeah,
I don't.
No,
I don't.
yeah.
He may throw me in a sleeper hole and put me out for good.
He probably would. He absolutely would. Last week you told us about the kickoff party the day before the game was on Saturday. Tell us more about how people can come out and support and get excited for game number one.
Yeah, so we are having our preseason party at Ghost River on Main Street downtown from 4 to 6. We'll have our head coach there, about 10 players. We'll have our mascot and cheer. And then maybe most importantly, we're going to have the debut of the Showboats Touchdown Light Lager that we partnered with Ghost River on, and we'll have that for sale for the first time on Saturday. And I'm really excited about this whole partnership we have with Ghost River on this thing. They're a great partner, and they've made this really fun. And we're going to have not only this event there, but we'll have all of our watch parties out there, and people will be able to watch the Showboats score a touchdown and drink a Showboats Touchdown Light Lager at the same time. So I like the symmetry of it. It'll be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun. Last thing for you, Steve, where can people go and get tickets for this weekend's game?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's UFLshowboats.com, UFLshowboats.com. And Memphis, this is your team. There's only 8 of these around the country. We're fortunate enough to have one of them, and kind of like the golf tournament we have here that's one of the 3 PGA playoffs. These opportunities are few and rare, and everybody looks at Memphis nationally and says, this is a great place to be, and that's why we have these things. And I hope that as we continue to try to make a great game day atmosphere and build community, that the community loves us back as much as we love them.
Yeah.
Good job, Steve. I mean, I know a lot of work by you and starting the third year, and I bet you like having this open and a week off for the whole examination of what went right, what we have to correct it. So that'd be good for you as well. And best of luck.
It is.
We'll visit again next week, Steve.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man.
Thanks,
Good luck.
Steve.
Hey guys, thank you so much, and go Boats.
You got
Steve.
it.
Steve Macy joining us to talk the Showboats. Make sure go get those tickets, go out to the kickoff party, and support the Boats. I'm excited. Let's go Boats. I'm pumped up for Sunday.
Heck yeah! And I undersold the proud history of Michigan. They were the original champions in '83 with Bobby Hebert quarterback.
Wow! All right. So a deep, long USFL history.
If I had to play in the day USFL trivia and had a partner, I would take our friend Chuck Galena, and he texted me, "Don't forget that." And I remember it well. The coach of Michigan, he had been at Oklahoma State. I think his name was Bob Stanley, and they won the first year, and the Super Bowl was like in early June.
Wow! All right. So, deep history coming to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
And Hebert and Anthony Carter on that team, and then they got merged into being the Oakland Invaders. T-Bob Abear loves when I mention seeing his dad in USFL.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the only thing I have on the Michigan Panthers, I think Paxton Lynch was a part of the team there for
was he?
For a brief
Yeah.
second. I think so. I don't think he played much, but I do.
Quarterback
think
plays everything in every sport.
It is.
You know, and the teams that have excelled in his 2 years of revamped UFL, they've had good play.
That's right. Is Magoo still in the league? I need to look that up. Magoo, he was a problem down in Birmingham.
He sure was.
I need to look that up. I'm going to look that up during this break and see if we're going to have to see Magoo
But I want scoring, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm excited about it. Like I said, they're kind of stretching it out opening weekend. A game Friday night, at least one game Saturday. We know at least one game on Sunday for the Showboat. So it'll be fun this weekend watching the UFL. Let's go ahead and get to another break. And when we return, we'll talk about the Sweet 16 games that get started later tonight. That's next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Total membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for a limited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always ship with the best. Top Gun Memphis. Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Amazon Sports Fun, exciting, friendly, comfortable, all TVs, 24 tabs for all your family needs. Happy hour 3 6 music, video, and upscale new patio seating, and specials, online ordering, and you found all your sports in one right place. Amazon Sports Bar Grill, Lakewood Town Square, Highway 70, check Facebook for weekend music, happy hour times.
We are ready to meet anyone on your new Hyundai from Gossett Hyundai on the Pike during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Plus, you get America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Listen to this, Mid-South 2024 Hyundai Venue Limited. We Gossett 22,317. How about 2024 Hyundai Elantra Limited? We Gossett 24,997. 2025 Hyundai Elantra SEL Convenience 25,260. And 2024 Hyundai Sonata SEL Standard 26,353. This is what deals are made of at Gossett Hyundai 1870 Covington Pike. Online, HyundaiGossett.com. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
341,155, MSRP 25,160. Elantra RU 821,411, MSRP 28,780. Convenience SU 856,185, MSRP 27,020. Sonata RU 415,696, MSRP 29,110. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Well, the NCAA tournament returns tonight with the first leg of the Sweet 16. 4 games tonight. It will start with BYU, Alabama, a little after 6 o'clock on CBS. It will continue. 2 number 1 seeds will take the court tonight. Florida against Maryland, Duke against Arizona, and we'll end the night with Arkansas and Texas Tech on TBS. I think 4 what could be really fun games.
And Bryant, so often people talk about styles make fights, and that's usually when one's kind of the opposite of the other one. I think sometimes when you have the two very similar styles, that makes for fun action. Everybody, I think's betting this over 175 and a half.
Feels like it, yeah.
Remember, 40 points. One little from the 12-minute media timeout to the 8-minute media timeout in either half of it, that it gets a little drouthy, that's probably enough to send it under.
Yeah, no, that's a good point by you. And we've seen that a couple times with Alabama this year, and I think BYU can play some good defense and get stops, create tough looks. So I don't know. I've kind of stayed away from the NCAA tournament betting. We always talk about these lines are usually really, really on the money.
And to keep priming that pump to get to that, I think, extreme over. You got to have both doing it. One's not going to be able to do it.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be, either side winning 105 to 76.
Right. Yeah. No. You got
that's
both
181. 105 to 71 or 72 to just barely get over. It's going to take both tangoing pretty strongly. Can BYU athletically stay with Alabama that long?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm really excited about that game because I do think both these teams, kind of similar in ways, and like you said, when you have two teams that are very similar, it could cause a really intriguing matchup, and so we get started with that game, and I'm hoping all of the other ones live up to the excitement that I think this first one will have.
Who in the SEC do you think would most mimic BYU, that the coaching staff or the game plan people watch this team to maybe have the best read of playing, Alabama playing?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
You wouldn't say Florida or Kentucky because I think it's Mississippi State.
Could be, yeah.
And I'm trying to find the scores. Well, Bama beat them 111 to 73. Well, that got there, and they did do it in that. With them doing most of the work.
That's right. Yeah, that was one of the few games where they kind of did it all, and it still worked out for them.
And they beat them in Starkville 88-84.
Wow. Holy cow!
So that would just narrowly miss.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, Alabama's probably the fastest team in the country. So I mean, you kind of start, if you let off that gas just a little bit, they can go out there and really take over a game. And so you definitely don't want that if you're BYU tonight.
Arizona have a chance against your Dukies?
My Dukies, good Lord. Yeah, I mean, I think they got a little bit of a chance.
All you did was simply defend John Shiro
just
one
defended
time.
The coach,
And I've done this to you for 4 years now.
I just backed the coach, and now I'm, it's like I graduated from there.
Yeah.
I should be up on Wall Street or something.
Campus, Upper West Side. That's where it is.
Exactly.
There's not a Southern accent in Durham.
Of course not.
On the Duke campus.
Of course
not one.
Of course not. But I think this is one of those games where if you're Arizona, you got to come out with a hot start. There's no way you can kind of limp in and then
don't be playing off the
hit
ropes.
them there. No. You got to come out and punch them first and try to kind of get out there and you keep Duke on their toes because we've seen these first two games. Duke has come out now first game 1 seed versus 16. I know how that goes, but we've seen in the round of 32 we've seen a lot of games in the regular season. Duke can come out and start putting it on you 2 minutes into the game and they don't let off and end up winning by 20 points against some good teams this year. So, if Arizona is going to stay in this game, it's got to be a really good start, and it has to be from Caleb Love. I mean, Caleb Love has to be the key to this game.
And in our bracket contest on our show between me, you, and Landon, this is real blood tonight. I have Bama, you have BYU, Landon has Bama. Landon and I both have Texas Tech advancing. You're already X'd out there in this one with St. John's.
Yeah. Oh, the Johnnies.
So you're calling the Hogs tonight.
That's right. Yeah, I need y'all scratched up. So I'll call the Hogs. Why not? Woo!
There you go. Get your fingers going.
Pig suey.
You're going to get kicked out at home. Be careful. Don't go into the full 3 verses of calling the Hogs.
I really might. I might. But sometimes you got to take risks, Brett.
That's right. That's right.
That is one
Texas Tech.
to take.
Arkansas over and under 147.5.
Wow.
I think Arkansas wins if it's under. I think Texas Tech wins if it goes over.
I like that. Yeah, I think you're right. And
Didn't Arkansas won a 67-64 game?
I think so. And, we talked about it earlier this week. I'm really curious. We talked about that round of 32 game and that huge win. It came, with two freshmen playing lights out. You had, Carter Knox, who was starting and played really, really well. You had Billy Richmond, who came off the bench, gave him a ton of minutes, gave him a ton of points. It's really those two guys that had the spark. And so can, these freshmen step up again here in the Sweet 16? Do you get some of those veterans with big games like John L. Davis, who, they brought in for big moments like this? Trevon Brazile, who's been around for a while. Can you get those guys to step up and have big games? Because, this feels like one of those games, all hands on deck against Texas Tech.
Yeah, you're seeing from the SEC office the infographic, or I don't know if that best described it, but it's on Twitter, and it shows that on Selection Sunday, the SEC had 21% of the field. After the round of 32, they had 25% of the field. Now in the Sweet 16, they have 44% of the field. Tonight, I said in my my top story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my top story. I said we're going to be down to 12. Well, that's going to be 7 out of 12 if the SEC goes 3-0 tonight.
Insane.
Get ready for the insufferability level to go up to extreme highs.
Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to that, but you're right. Could be a massive night for the SEC.
And poised for another one tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what happens. Yeah, that's what happens when you have so many SEC teams left standing with so few games left to play. No, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Who's the least likely to win tonight of the three going? Alabama, Florida, or Arkansas?
Got to be Arkansas.
It is.
I mean, it just comes with the territory. You're a 10 seed,
Yeah.
It's and
underdog.
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, but I think all these games are going to be a lot of fun tonight. First game starting a little after 6 o'clock, 6:09, the scheduled tip time between BYU, Alabama. That final game will start at 9:09, so, kind of compact with the Sweet 16, but I think 4 really fun games. Let's get to another break. When we return, start our second hour. We're switching gears, talking the NBA with Keith Smith.
Skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Forever, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis. Plus minus through KFA, K4 SEO 87712, MSRP 25320, K5 S53 28285, MSRP 28455, Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title and license with approved credit, dealer stock only, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 4/2/25.
Hey, I tracked down my buddy Jeff Allen over at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Hey, what's up, brother?
We're ready to rock over here, Randy. 2025 Kia K4 LXS, $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia K5 GT Line, $199 a month. And a 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive with more power, larger cargo area, and more ground clearance than a Nissan Pathfinder. $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing. 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So if you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
That's Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah. Online anytime, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's already starting to build with more volume on 240 East here at Mill Branch, working your way out past Airways on to Bill Morris Parkway, continuing into Collierville. Try to load up a little bit more volume on 240 East and westbound at Poplar. So far, so good. We're keeping an eye on it. 40 East here at Sycamore View Road as that starts to pick up out towards Germantown Parkway. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season that's coming up. You'll save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 FM. Once again, Brett Roserly and Ryan Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some NBA, Keith Smith from Spotrac and the Front Office Show. He joins us now. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get to, but let's start with the Memphis Grizzlies. They picked up a win following 3 straight losses earlier this week against the Utah Jazz. They're back in action tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It hadn't been easy for anybody to get wins against OKC this year, but after that, they return home, a 3-game stretch that Brett and I are really excited about. I mean, these type of giants of the NBA coming to Memphis. You've got the Lakers, then the Celtics, and then you finish it off with the Golden State Warriors. How important will that homestand be for the Grizzlies, especially with the Lakers and the Warriors coming to town, a team that is right in front of you and a team that's right behind you in the Western standings?
Yeah, you hit it. Those are the 2 big ones. Or, you know, if you're kind of going in saying we can only get 2, I know all wins count the same, but if you can hurt the teams that you're trying to battle with positioning for, you choose to do so versus no one's catching the Thunder. And, you know, the Celtics, that has no impact on you long term. So, you know, but it's a great stretch for them to kind of show who they are. You know, Memphis has kind of done what they have to do beating some teams, and then they've had some struggles at other times. It's been kind of tough. So, you know, hopefully they'll be able to get it figured out and go forward from there and pick up a couple big wins.
Keith, before the Utah game day or so ago, on Tuesday, we were talking that was the first Grizzlies appearance there since opening night. Well, opening night, they go out there 0-0. When they go back to Utah in late March, they entered the game 43-28, and we talked, would you have signed up for that on opening day? Now they're 44-28 after 72. Would you have signed up after 72? The Grizzlies are 44-28?
Yeah, I can feel pretty good with that. You know, considering they haven't had an exactly fully healthy season. Guys have still missed time. So I think you feel pretty good about that. And then your bigger picture is, where are we in the standings? You know, are we feeling good about where we are? That's probably slightly more questionable, but that's a lot to do with the depth of the Western Conference, how good it is. But they're still in a good place with kind of everything in front of them, everything all the way up to the 2 seed, still more or less in play. And you just kind of, you know, try to, you know, hit your stride, get guys back in the lineup, and go forward the rest of the way.
I'm with you. I concede and all credit to Oklahoma City as the one. I think Houston's better than the Grizzlies. I think they've showed that in head-to-head matchups. I think Denver's better for a lot of different reasons. Same with the Lakers. Okay, so I'll concede 4. then let's debate. Do you think the Grizzlies are better than the Clippers and Golden State?
I think they're probably on par with those teams. I think, they're ahead of them in the standings, but some of that's, again, due to guys who have been out, the Warriors. They're almost I don't want to say a completely new team, but they're a different team with Jimmy Butler than the team they were before getting him. They've really done a good job remaking their roster on the fly in season. And then the Clippers, they made a couple nice trades to add depth and got Kawhi Leonard back. So I think probably more on par with those teams. And I don't know that I'd put the Grizzlies all that far behind the Lakers. The Lakers are, they've got their issues. Their defense, we're starting to see some of those worries that we had with them in the defense. And then Houston, let's see what it looks like in their first run through the playoffs. I still have Oklahoma City and Denver as kind of the teams to beat in the West. And then everybody else, it's kind of going to come down to matchups, health, and everything else.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Golden State Warriors, the big game the other night with the return for Jimmy Butler down in Miami. The Warriors lose that. That's now back-to-back losses for this red-hot Warriors team that's been playing so well since acquiring Jimmy Butler. I was reading something the other day that talked about Jonathan Kuminga. He's been injured, this run that they've gone on. He was injured throughout that. Now he's back. How does Golden State integrate him back into this rotation since adding Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, I think they're doing it the right way. They're playing him off the bench. And I think for the rest of this year, that's going to have to be where he sees his minutes. He's not going to start over Draymond Green or Jimmy Butler. And you could put all three of them in the starting lineup. I think you get a little bit small there. I think you have some shooting concerns if all three of them are starting. So I think you kind of go into these games with more or less a 3-forward rotation with those three guys in it. And that gets you covered, for the duration of these games. I think, in that way, too, everybody can play a lot. You just make sure everybody's kind of getting their minutes, and that's how you move it forward. So Jonathan Kuminga is a good player, and I think also playing against second units, it's a little easier for him. He can kind of watch the game, see how it's being played, and then go do his thing and be super on both ends of the floor. Worry so much about, kind of how, are they playing me? I got to pick my spots. I got to make sure Steph gets his touches and those things. He can just go out there and play ball.
Mm-hmm. A guy I've been watching a lot lately is Quentin Grimes, the guy that was dealt from Dallas up to Philly, and now because of the injuries that Philadelphia has, he's been getting a ton of playing time, averaging over 33 minutes per game, and he's averaging 22.1 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, over 4 assists per game, and also doing it on the defensive end, 1.6 steals per game. He's really taking advantage of this opportunity he has in Philadelphia. What do you expect to see happen with him? What have you thought about him in this role with Philadelphia, and what happens with him this offseason? Because I believe he's a restricted free agent at the end of the season, and obviously you know this a whole lot better than I do, money-wise, finance-wise, apron-wise, it could be hard for Philly to keep him around.
Yeah, you have that absolutely right. He is set to be a restricted free agent. I think what he's shown with Philadelphia, and some people are saying they're not playing meaningful games, who cares? And if he's out there scoring 30 points a night and shooting 35% from the floor, you kind of shrug a little and say, all right, so he's gunning for points. He's shooting really well. He's been really efficient. He's still doing other things. And the thing I like is he's showing, hey, I can do a little bit more playmaking for others. I can set some guys up. I can do my thing. I'll still play defense. And I think if you're Philly now, you kind of go in looking at it and you're saying, all right, hey, with him and Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, that's a pretty good 3-guard rotation. They all play together. You could do a lot of different things, kind of mixing and matching lineups, and I think you feel pretty good about that. So if I'm the 76ers, I'm doing what I can to keep them. Now, you mentioned restricted free agent. It's always tough on restricted free agents, and a big chunk of it is if you're going to get movement, you need a team who's going to go out there and make a big offer. Well, this summer, the only team with cap space is the Brooklyn Nets, and the Nets aren't really in a position to be going out and really paying a lot of free agents yet, right? They're kind of just really starting. This is really still, we're in year one of just starting this rebuild process. So I think we're going to see the Nets be a lot more conservative. We have seen Sean Marks playing restricted free agency in the past. Maybe he looks at it and says, hey, Quentin Grimes is young enough to fit with what we're trying to build moving forward. and he makes it tough on Philly. But I think Philly's got a pretty good chance to retain him. Then it's going to be, all right, how much can you fill out the rest of the roster? That's where it's going to get tricky for Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Keith, we talk so much about the Western Conference because, where we are and what we see so much of. Is it that far ahead, if indeed ahead of the East? In block, the playoff teams, kind of the 10 that will come out of the East against the 10 that will come out of the West, is it as big a difference as we kind of think it is?
Yeah, I think where the West really is ahead of the East is with the depth. The teams that are in like the Western Conference play-in tournament are going to be a lot better than the teams that are in the Eastern Conference play-in tournament. I think if I have it right this morning, that'd be the Warriors, the Timberwolves, and the Kings, and then one of the Suns and Mavericks. And in the East, you're talking Hawks, Magic, Heat, and gosh, it's slipping my mind now.
Miami,
Miami, the Hawks, or in Orlando. They're just not. Those teams aren't very good in Chicago. Was the team I'm forgetting there?
Yeah,
those teams aren't very good. Those teams have really struggled this year. They've struggled to find their traction, whether it's been injury related or other things, and that's where the West has that advantage. When you're talking kind of the top 4, 5, 6 teams, I think things start to look a lot more balanced. And when you get into the top 2 or 3 on each side, I think you kind of look at it and say, all right, these teams are about equal.
Because I think Indiana's really good right now in the 4. Got to try to hang on to that. We'll battle with Detroit. They'll probably meet in the first round. In a second round, could Indiana scare Cleveland?
I think they could. They'd have to really be on their game, and they're going to have to try to play that game really up and down and get it played the way they want to play, which is, let's race up and down the floor. Let's get, these games scoring up in the 120s. The Cavs have a good offense, but the Cavs don't want to play that fast. The Cavs are more, let's play in the half court, let's play efficient, let's win games with our defense and offense combo, where if you're the Pacers, you want to really turn that into a track meet. And if you can get it played that way, Tyrese Halliburton's one of the best guards in the league at controlling pace and getting it played his way. I think they could make it a challenge. I would pick them, but I think they certainly could make it more of a challenge on Cleveland than I think it would look like in a typical 1-4 matchup.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Bulls. I was watching them the other night. I think they were at Denver. Obviously, Denver had a couple guys out. But this Bulls team is fun to watch. They're young, and it feels like they have some pieces that in the future, if they can keep them together, could make some noise. I mean, Kobe White has been really fun to watch. They go out and get Josh Giddey last year. Matas Buzelis kind of feels like he's starting to figure it out a little bit at the NBA level. What do you make of kind of this young core for the Bulls moving into the future?
Yeah, they really do play a fun style. They play really fast. Mm-hmm. Billy Donovan basically looked at his personnel and said, all right, we're not going to get a ton of stops, so let's play fast. And they've continued that even after trading Zach LaVine and moving on from him. They've continued to kind of, all right, we're going to be go, go, go. And that really suits guys like Kobe White and Josh Giddey who are really good at playing against non-set defenses. I think one of the things that we've seen with Josh Giddey is this is the best basketball he's ever played. Yeah. He's been absolutely incredible, really shooting the ball well. Kobe White, I like to say, if you start putting yourselves in a sentence that says the first person or the only person since Wilt Chamberlain or Michael Jordan, you've done something. He's the only player to win Player of the Week twice for the Bulls. That isn't Michael Jordan. That's incredible. When you're kind of looking at it there. So really fun season. Kevin Huerter's rediscovered himself since the trade to Chicago. They're set up to be an interesting team. They're not going to get through the play-in tournament and challenge anybody seriously, but you start to look and say, all right, maybe there's the building blocks of a little bit of something here in Chicago if we can kind of get the right guys around this young core.
I think Coach of the Year has been decided, but it's a good debate out there that could even include J.J. Redick.
Yeah, it absolutely could. What's interesting with Coach of the Year, it often turns into whose team overachieves the most. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what the award. Yeah, it really isn't always about the best coach. If it was, Greg Popovich and Eric Spoelstra would probably have 20 Coach of the Year awards between the two of them. But now we're kind of looking at it as all right. I think a lot of people have said, all right, Mark Daigneault Kenny Atkinson, their teams have been really good. But you're hearing some people push back a little bit on, Mark Daigneault's team was supposed to be really good. But, that's to me, they're running away with the conference. They've got it so far ahead of everybody that, we probably should be in the mix. And then there's some other coaches that have done a nice job a little bit further down in the standings. J.B. Bickerstaff's done a wonderful job with the Detroit Pistons, building them up. And Kenny Atkinson, who took over from Bickerstaff, taking the Cavs to the next level. So there's a lot of really good coaching. There's a lot more really good coaching now than whereas it used to be every once in a while you're kind of like, I think we got 7, 8, 9, 10 coaches that are a little questionable. Now you feel pretty good about most of the guys.
Won't be coach of the year, but probably needs a strong finish. Do you believe that Taylor Jenkins is maybe coaching for his livelihood?
Yeah, I think there's some chance, and I think that comes down to eventually it feels like it grows stale, especially with a coach where they've been there for a long time. The old saying is you can't fire all the players, so you fire the coach and make a change before you make major roster changes. And I think, with Taylor Jenkins, if they're not competitive in the playoffs, either, win a round in a competitive second-round series or, maybe depending on how the matchups fall, just a really good competitive first-round series, that could see him back. But I think if they're out early, even if he does come back, it's going to be he's out but on a very short leash. And that's, kind of a tough spot to go in where, hey, you're kind of coaching for your job right from day one of the season. That really can become an issue. So I think, they're going to have to, make some kind of serious run. Or I do think you're going to see Memphis maybe look to make a change.
We had some news come out earlier today involving Adam Silver. I don't know if we've talked about this with you, about this idea of kind of a NBA-led, in Europe, it sounds like either a tournament in Europe or an actual NBA-operated league over there. Adam Silver earlier today said that talks are going in the right direction, that they're going to start taking the next steps to doing, kind of making that sort of move. Where do you see this heading in terms of kind of the NBA and Europe?
Yeah, I think what the NBA has looked at is that, all right, there's a lot of really good basketball being played in Europe, and we're not a part of it. Why shouldn't we, when we run the preeminent basketball league in the world, why shouldn't we be a part of that? They've done great things with the Basketball Africa League. It's really growing there. So I think they're looking at it as, all right, in Europe, it's not as much of a start from scratch effort, because I think what they're going to kind of look at and say is, we don't need to, introduce the game and build arenas and really build everything. It's just going to be, all right, either we get some existing teams, which they're talking about, trying to poach from the EuroLeague, or they're looking at, all right, let's get some of these teams kind of to create out of, these soccer clubs and whatnot that already exist that maybe want a basketball arm. And I think this is all part of the NBA. Is going to continue to grow. I said on our show today, I think by the time, while in our lifetime, certainly yours, Brian, I think, it is, you're going to see a world where you're going to see a North American league, which will be the NBA as we know it, probably South American, Asia, Africa, maybe Australia, Europe. And there's going to be like a worldwide tournament to crown a true world champion. It might be 30, 40 years away, but this is all part of the NBA growing. And they're going to, create this league in big cities with the NBA kind of name behind it. And I think it'll be, good for growth of the game if, the NBA can kind of be in charge of growing that.
Yeah. And one more thing about Adam Silver. He also said that they will not be bringing back the format for the All-Star game. Called it a miss. And obviously next year being kind of bigger with it going to NBC, part of that new media rights package.
I think great self-awareness and analysis.
Yeah, I really do think. What do you make of the change? Where do you think it heads from here? The story I was reading pointed out that next year's All-Star break will be happening around the same time as the Winter Olympics. And so maybe they try to play off that with some sort of U.S. versus international format. Where do you think the All-Star game goes from here?
Yeah, I think that's probably where we're headed. I don't know that I agree that it was a real miss with the the format they had. I think the miss was TNT turning it into the TNT party time, and let's talk about TNT and these massive breaks. They just played the games. I think they were kind of okay, and I think they have something. My worry with U.S. versus the world is if that's how we're going to name the All-Star teams, we better have 12 world players that are, true All-Stars. And I'm not being the ugly American here, because there are a lot. I mean, some of the very best players in the league are international now. I just don't know that there are 12 of the 24 best players in the league are international. I don't know that we're going to get there, and we'll see. Maybe I'm very curious to see kind of what they do with it. But yeah, I think NBC is going to be clearly heavily involved. They're going to be a big part of. Hey, we've got this now. We want it to look like this, and they'll go about fixing it. The other thing he touched on too, just I want to mention, he was asked about expansion, NBA expansion in light of the Celtics sale, and he basically said, yeah, as soon as that's done, we're going to open up that conversation again. So it's very clear. I think the NBA, they've got a lot of kind of irons in the fire here on let's start doing some different stuff. But I think we're looking at an expansion and probably a little bit of a reworking of what the NBA looks like a little bit as far as divisions and conferences and all that.
It's really exciting times for the league. And Keith, the whole incorporation of being back with NBC, the new TV deal, and the fee that it went for, alive and kicking and healthy as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all of this, the downfall of the NBA stuff, it seems like it gets talked about once a year. It's also silly. I mean, they just got the biggest TV contracts anybody's ever gotten. Now that'll get beaten when the NFL comes up next for TV. We all know that. But for now, they're doing well, and they're really living kind of the high life. And then I think attendance continues to be really strong. They've got issues. They've talked about them with players still continuing, and teams, the load management. Adam Silver talked about the tanking stuff, and now they've still got some work to do there. But I think what's good is, much like with the All-Star game, Adam Silver, as kind of the spokesperson and leader of the group of owners, doesn't bury his head in the sand and just say, this is all fine. He is very open of, this isn't working, let's try to work together to fix it. And I think that's really important, because I think, too often you've seen it be, we're fine, everything's okay here. So I think, it really is, good to see that they're willing to do everything they can to try to make it better. And it is funny, we did get a little bit of pushback too when some people were like, I don't know, the ratings were, not good early in the season. And they basically said, yeah, when Adam Silver did, we went against a Yankees-Dodgers World Series, which captivated the entire country in the start of the NFL season. It's a real shock people weren't watching.
Yeah, no surprise there from the people in charge of the NBA. Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you very much. Keith Smith with us every week. And Bryant, he's so right about the All-Star game. It may not have been as bad as the pinata it turned into by their TV partner.
Yeah, it felt like that.
As Rob Fisher said.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man,
Remember?
Rob Fisher came in the day after, and we talked all about it. But, no, I mean, it felt like that kind of office retirement party you have before before somebody's last day of, hey, TNT, this has been a fun ride. They had that little ceremony in the middle of the games where, they had the whole inside the NBA team down there and kind of did their big farewells of basketball and TNT. I mean, it felt like a last hurrah for TNT that went awfully. I mean, it was horrible. It was not fun at all. And so, yeah, I think Keith has a great point there. The product there wasn't the issue. It was everything around the product that night on All-Star Weekend.
Did it distract you during Keith that I had to kill my mic and stand up and give the standing ovation?
You were clapping over there a lot. You were standing.
At the introduction of Don Tony, TLR, Tony La Russa, being introduced at Busch Stadium.
Love it. I love it. I wish I had this TV on FanDuel Sports Network, but we've got the Brew Crew and the Yanks in here. So.
That's pretty good stuff. Yeah. It's that time of year with the confluence and bracket time, and it's that time of year for you to get something that you really want to drive, and you can get it at All-Star Chevrolet right there in Olive Branch. First exit after you cross into Mississippi on Highway 78. Take Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there with Drew DePriest and his great team. It's truck month, and every Silverado you can imagine is there with financing down to 2.9 and up to $3,000 cash back for you. Get with Drew or any member of that team, and they will take care of you. If you want a new 2500 Series HD Silverado, All-Star, they have them. No payment for 90 days. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. If your budget, like a lot of us, it's in the 20s, 30s, you got to love the affordable new All-Star Chevrolets. There's a price point for everyone. New Blazers, Equinox, new Colorado trucks. If you're a law enforcement, educator, recent grad, first responder, healthcare worker, military, instant extra $500 bonus back. Every certified Chevy and all the pre-owns you can think of right there in one place at All-Star. Sierras, Camaros, Tahoes, Suburbans, and a ton of Silverados. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star in Olive Branch, whether you bought it there or not, and you'll get the most money back for it with your trade. Together, let's drive what we really want to drive this spring, and let's do it from All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, we need to get to another break, and when we return, we got to talk some handicapping. Doug Kazarian from OnlyPlayers.com out in Vegas. He joins us next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
Something amazing is happening here. Scientists are using AI to study how whales talk to each other. CDW experts can give researchers the power to process complex data with HP workstations, advanced by AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro processors. With easier handling of AI workloads, your organization can bring powerful insights to the surface. Make amazing happen. HP, AMD, and CDW. Learn more at cdw.com/HPAMD.
Come see me at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown.
Well, that sounds like the right thing to do. What do you got out there, Gossett Volkswagen Germantown?
Randy, I've got 2025 Jetta SE at $269 a month.
Brand new 2025 Jetta SE, $269 a month. What else you got?
How about a new 2023 Taos SE, only $26,998.
Under $27,000 for a brand new Taos SE. That's awesome.
Plus all 2024 Volkswagen Atlas SELT edition and all 2024 Volkswagen Atlas Crosssport SELR lines, $5,000 off.
Well, I'm coming to see you at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road. Online, GossettVWG.com. Ask for Marty McMahon.
And remember, the future is what you make of it.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, choose between 60 months of no-interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, this winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We're looking live at this crash out here on Bill Morris Parkway westbound. It's going to be just past Ridgeway before you get up to 240. It's got traffic a little bit slow here coming inbound on Bill Morris 385 as you come past Ridgeway. It's building pretty good also on 240 eastbound from Mill Branch out to 385 in the Midtown area. That's starting to pick up pretty good southbound on 240 here at South Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, serving Memphis for well over 40 years. Go by and see them. You'll save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local in the Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk some wagering, Doug Kazarian from OnlyPlayers.com out in Vegas. He joins us now. Doug, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get to. Very busy day in the sports world with Sweet 16, NBA, opening day for Major League Baseball. Let's start with the Sweet 16 with what's going on in college basketball. Any of these games tonight jump out at you? I think a really fun slate to watch. But is there anything that jumped out to you?
You know, it's a good question because it's the first time ever we have only major conference teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different. Sometimes we have Cinderellas we got to break down and things like that. I guess BYU, you know, formerly of a mid-major, now in the Big 12, they could classify, you know, Arkansas double-digit seed and things like that. So it's got a little different vibe, but I certainly have a few plays I like, none bigger than Florida. I think they open up a can. You know, I don't think the Gators got exposed or anything like that. They're still a legit team, arguably the best in the country. They have depth. We saw what Walter Clayton can do down the stretch. Maryland's nice, and they have their crab five. And, yes, TV timeouts are longer, and the depth or lack thereof is not as big of an issue. But, man, Maryland's, I think, a double-digit, you know, win better than Florida should win this by double digits in my eyes.
I'm with you completely on that game. I think it was good for Florida to have that scare to kind of get the mouthpiece knocked out, set itself, win the game, and for Todd Golden to go to his team this week with a complete motivation of you can't have another game like that or we're out.
Totally. I mean, that's what coaches will do. They'll find the opportunities to push the right buttons. I think Bruce Pearl is definitely doing that with Auburn because, you know, they're the number one overall seed, but he's probably playing like, we're the underdogs. They're disrespecting us. No one's picking us. And it's funny. I mean, we saw Georgia do that. We saw Kirby Smart do that with the Bulldogs when they won the national title in recent years. It's we're the underdog. Everyone's counting us out. Auburn can actually say that because they're not being picked by many brackets, even though they're the number one overall seed. But I'll tell you, man, there's nothing that a coach loves more, maybe not during the moment, but escaping with a narrow win. He really has his team's attention in that regard.
Yeah, and I said earlier, Doug, there have been a couple of occasions. Connecticut made it look easy last year. I mentioned Tyler Hansbrough and that North Carolina juggernaut in 2009 that walloped Michigan State in Detroit. Most of the time, though, you have to have that scare along the 6-game win streak.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's interesting. Arizona, one team since the 90s won the national championship without covering your first 2 games. So if you escape the first 2 rounds under the number, usually you don't go on to win the title. I think it was Arizona in 97.
It was. They started here in Memphis and were lucky to get out of here. I think it was College of Charleston and Bill Musselman coaching South Alabama. They were lucky to get out of the pyramid.
But outside of that, there's only one scare, right? So Florida opened a can in the first game, and then, you know, you get that one scare, and then now the players sort of understand the moment. It's really hard, man. We know this in all sports. We see this in football. Flat spots exist. We know that. But teams typically that are the legitimate champion don't play with fire. Now, they may have tough wins later in the tournament when they're favored by 3.5 or something and eke out a win, and that's okay. UConn, you know, they have the right coach. They have an elite coach. I don't think Golden's going to be sort of out-coached in this regard like Hurley. I mean, Hurley's as big of a crybaby as he is. He's obviously an elite coach, and I don't think we're going to see that here. So I think the Gators, just too much talent, too much depth. And, you know, there's a part of Maryland that played late Sunday night, celebrating the win for a day and a half, maybe caught off guard a little bit by a Gators team that got a scare. So I really like the Gators early in this one.
This first game of the night, BYU and Alabama, a lot of people feel like on the over here, the biggest over in the Sweet 16, it's by about 20 points, 175.5. When you look at these two teams that like to get out and run, they love the 3 ball. How do you view the total in this matchup?
It is enticing to look at the over because both teams' defense weak, offense very good. I love what Kevin Young's done with the Cougars. Very much an NBA pedigree. Great out after timeouts, the ATOs. I mean, it's straight out of the NBA. And they're legit, man. And I think Alabama played well in the last game. They certainly did. But I have not thought they're a true contender. I mean, I think, obviously, I wouldn't be shocked if they won it all. But I just think the math approach is going to rear its ugly head. You have to play well, let's call it 5 games. Like the first game's, who cares? So they have to do the math sort of thing 5 times in the tournament, and we've all played blackjack and had the 11 against a 5, and we ended up not winning the hand. I just think ultimately the math could get them. I don't know if it's BYU that does it, but the numbers come down from 5.5 to mostly 4.5. I like the Cougars a little bit, but I like them on the team total. I think they're going to get their points. 85.5 feels low. I know it's crazy to say, but it's just a perfect storm. But I think this Cougars team is going to be able to score at will against Alabama. And the Tide don't want to get into foul trouble. They'll give up points at the rim because 5 fouls is nothing in college basketball. So BYU, with that NBA sort of coaching and mindset, unless they miss open shots, they should get their points. I just think Alabama could get to 100.
Next year's team, BYU, could be this year's version of what Cinderella we have. We're visiting with Doug Kazarian from Las Vegas. He's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. The Duke heavy favorite over Arizona, but for our area, so many people interested in John Calipari and Arkansas. Right. But also for 1 year in our area, Grant McCaslin was at Arkansas State, not far away in Jonesboro.
So people I really respect are on the Red Raiders. I can't get there because I think Arkansas has been a really tough team for me to sort of handicap. They just when they zag when I think they're going to zig and stuff like that. I think 5.5 is the right number. If you can get 4.5, maybe 3.5 early in the game, then I think that's a buy. I just think 5.5 is that danger zone where you can't come down to the wire and things along those lines. So I'd wait for in-game, but I do think McCaslin's got the coaching edge over Calipari. Calipari, we all know, more of a recruiter. The
Worldwide West was the recruiter.
Do have some players, though.
Yeah.
No, they absolutely do. Switching gears a little bit with Doug Kazarian. Go give him a follow on social media at Doug Kazarian. Opening day in Major League Baseball. Is there anything you like? I know a lot of games going on already. A couple games tonight. Certainly a good slate tomorrow and into the weekend. Anything you're watching opening weekend betting-wise?
For me, it's a lot of underdogs this time of year. It's really tough, man. Baseball, it's a one-on-one sport with the pitcher and the batter, and it's all about cluster hitting, right? You can have 9 hits and no runs if you get them all. But if you get 4 hits in the same inning, you can put up a crooked number. And that's the beauty of the game, and that's why it's a large sample size. But one game is so tough. So I really picked my spots with baseball. I was sweating out a prop earlier, a pitcher's strikeouts kind of thing, because those are things you can really isolate. Mm-hmm. Now, whether it works and whatnot, that's a different story. But it is tough in that regard to sort of, how do I put it, just really, predict and things like that. And nowadays, especially with starters not allowed to go as deep into games and all those things. So it's a really tough sport. So I really pick my spots. I got nothing brewing, but, that over-under 6.5 between the Dodgers and Tigers because of the Cy Young. That's a compelling matchup with Skubal and Snell in terms of games that haven't started. But I'm being very with baseball. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's funny. You see the Nationals are up 1-0 in the 6th. I know a really sharp guy. He said he's going to play the Nats every game in this series. They're going to be a value team and bet on team. The fact they're up 1-0 in the 6th is kind of funny, right? Or through 6. So that's stuff I'm passing along. But it's a long season, man. Some pitchers aren't ready for the start of the year. They play the long game. Now, I think Snell will be because when he struggled to start a lot of seasons, it's because he was late in free agency and whatnot. I think he'll be ready. But, for example, Clay Holmes was throwing 90 pitches in the spring training. So he's still pitching right now in the 5th or 6th inning. So certain guys like that, I think you can sort of bank on. You got to look for the tells and, handicapping this juncture of the season, much different than juncturing in about a month, or handicapping in a month from now.
Doug, you mentioned your friend's going to ride the Nationals all weekend. What about for the whole season, just the everyday go against the White Sox?
I did that a lot last year. My buddy calls me the betting bully because when I see an outlier of a team, I'm not afraid to go against it. I don't believe in regression when there's a really, 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 really bad team. We saw that in college basketball with some doozies of teams out there. But here the White Sox are up 3-0, but you're right. They got the fact they get to host the Angels, who are bad too. But I'm in no rush to bet, and especially laying lumber against some of these teams, man. It's a weird sport. It's the beauty of the game. As I always say, playoff baseball in the NBA that Jokic is going to get the ball or LeBron's going to get the ball. In football, we know Patrick Mahomes is going to have the ball in his hand. Mm-hmm. But in baseball, it's like the eighth hitter is up in the ninth. It's just so so wild. Mm-hmm. It's the beauty of the game, but really makes it tough to bet.
And in most cases, everything is pick'em. I mean, you rarely. Yeah. I mean, you don't get Kennesaw State plus 27.5 on a Tuesday night against James Madison in college football.
Not at all.
No, it's the money line makes it a little different, but that's the fun of the home run props and sort of the lottery ticket that some people like as bettors. I just think they're lottery tickets, they're scratch offs. I'm not going to sit here and handicap why some guy has line value at plus 410 to hit a home run instead of 380. I'm looking to pick some winners, try to predict the champion. I'll look at the futures market for sure, but I'm picking my spots, and I know my strengths, and that's what everyone should remember. You can't be an expert in every sport. So, I outsource baseball to my team and things like that, but even then, I know plenty of pro bettors who lose over the course of a baseball season.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting closer to the playoffs in the NBA. Anything you like tonight in the National Basketball Association?
Yeah, there's a couple interesting spots. It's a really tricky lot. What do we got? 4 double-digit spreads. It's hard to bet against the Thunder these days. I think your Memphis Grizzlies. I'm not going to read too much into the Desmond Bain stat on the. I actually think that could be a positive a lot of times, but I do think the Grizzlies just can't hang with the Thunder for 4 quarters. I'm laying it with the Thunder. Not a big bet, a small play, but there's a reason OKC has won the 3 previous meetings. They're 3-0 with double-digit victories, including a couple by 20 or more. So I'm on the Thunder here. I just think they're so loaded, and while these teams should be resting players, they're not. We saw what the Celtics are doing. They've won 11 of 12 or whatever it is. Thunder are opening a can on a lot of teams. So the Thunder a little bit, but my favorite play tonight is the Jazz team total in the first quarter over 25.5.
Oh, yeah.
It's out there, I know. But here's the thing. It's a long season. It's not quite as long as the baseball season, but still, the NBA is not the NFL either. And you just have to pick the situational handicapping spots. And for me, the Jazz just lost by $1 million at home, and I think you got to you got to pay attention to what the coach says, things like that. Will Hardy, their coach, was disgusted with their effort. Said this league, you have to be professional. You as soon as you start sort of disrespecting it, you're out of the league, and we have to come with the right focus and everything. Now, Jordan Clarkson's been shut down for the year. Marketing's not going to play. But I think this team's going to be ready to play. I like the 4.5 a little bit in the first quarter, but their defense is so bad. I think they're going to be able to score points at will because I think Houston's coming in a little apathetic off a big win. Play again till Sunday. They have an intense coach, and they're fighting for the 2 seed. I'd rather back Utah to score points because I think they'll get some sloppy defense early from Houston. So I like them over 25.5 points in the first quarter, which is, I just want to isolate how I think that speech by the coach after the game will manifest itself, and I think that's the best way to do it.
Anything this weekend on the UFL, are you going to leave that all to Chris Felica and the guys at Fox?
Well, I like the UFL, and I get involved, but I haven't really tackled it just yet. There's a lot going on in case you haven't noticed. But in terms of hoops tomorrow, I do like Houston. I think the Cougars, I think this Purdue team's a little bit of a farce. I think they got lucky with facing High Point and then McNeese State. I think the Boilermakers defense that ranks 55th in defensive efficiency is not going to be able to kind of be the kryptonite that really baffles typical Houston teams. So I think the Cougars run away with this and win by 10. It's time for Purdue to go home.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Doug, real quick before we let you go, let people know where they can find more of you.
Yeah, so I'm cool now, guys. I have a Discord channel, so come check it out. The link is on my Twitter feed at Doug Kazarian. So a lot of cool stuff. I have free play of the day, things like that, the trends and the stuff like that. It's all free content on the Discord thread. So come check it out. Trying to really sort of immerse myself in platforms and avenues that appeal to the betting audience.
I love it. Yeah,
keep
Discord.
crushing it,
That's
Doug.
the new
Way to
wave.
go.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right, sounds so good. Good luck to everyone out there this weekend.
Right back at
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Doug. Doug Kazarian joining us to talk some gambling. Make sure and check out his Twitter at Doug Kazarian, Kezirian. Sign up for that Discord. It's free, and you can get some free plays along with it. We always appreciate him joining the show. But let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Time, yeah, all of that. Everybody is looking for something new to drive. All-Star Chevy right here in Olive Branch is loaded up for truck month, and every Silverado you want is here with financing down to 2.9, up to $3,000 cash for you. Hey, if you want a new 2500 HD Silverado, All-Star has them with no payment for 90 days, and your good credit deserves it. If your budget is in the 20s or 30s, gotta love all these affordable new All-Star Chevys, new Blazers, Equinox, new Colorado trucks, and if you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. Plus, every certified Chevy and all the pre-owns you want are here in one place. Tahoe, Sierras, Camaros, Suburbans, and tons of Silverados. And if you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Together, let's drive what we really want to drive. All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the TVs on all the walls in Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with reservations from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $4.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham. If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Benswinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Benswinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Benswinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BenswingerGlass.com. Benswinger Glass.
You know, if I had a nickel for every time somebody has recognized me as the spokesperson for Central Barbecue,
one of the
spokespeople, I wouldn't have a nickel because we do these for the radio. But I'm proud to be the spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
One of the...
You know what I mean? I'm proud because all of us who do this have had to do ads for things we didn't necessarily believe in.
Yeah, no, I have.
I know you have too.
Hey.
But we get to tell everyone about Central Barbecue, the best barbecue in Memphis.
In the world.
All aboard, football fans! The Memphis Showboats are back in action with more of the football you love. Join the Showboats at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium March 30th for the opening weekend of the 2025 UFL season as the boats take on the Michigan Panthers. Kickoff is 11 a.m. Head to UFLShowboats.com now to get your tickets and get more of the touchdown celebrating, high-fiving, bell-ringing action you love. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
Hey, Mid-South, get ready for your next adventure during the Mitsubishi Motors Spring Sales Event at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. Leave Gossett. $199 a month or buy for $16,605. Gets 43 MPG. Need more room? Take your pick from 2024 Outlander plug-in hybrid PHEV or 2024 Outlander. Just $399 a month. And listen up, because all remaining new 2024 Gossett Mitsubishis are now $2,000 off MSRP. Plus, you always get peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get ready for your next adventure during the Mitsubishi Motors Spring Sales Event at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
MSRP 18605, PHEV RZO 59821, MSRP 489, Outlander RZO 67325, MSRP 33210, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I have two big numbers today, both Major League Baseball big numbers in honor of opening day. My first big number is the number 80. Julio Rodriguez and Bobby Witt Jr. are both entering their fourth season. They are the only two players in MLB history to both have 80 or more home runs and 80 or more stolen bases through their first three seasons. So two really talented young players. I think we had the sweep the other day with Bobby Witt Jr. being MVP. So I think a lot of people are very high on what Bobby Witt Jr. can do this year. Julio Rodriguez, a little bit of a down year last year. I know a lot of people hoping he bounces back. And then maybe the best big number of the day, and maybe one of the greatest feats that is still going in maybe all of sports history, Brett. Tyler O'Neill, with today's home run, has now hit a home run in 6 straight opening days.
Unreal.
Which is just incredible. That goes all the way back to his time with the Cardinals, and just incredible. Everyone was betting on him to hit a home run, coming into today, and I said, you know what? I'm going to stay away from that, because eventually 5's a lot. Like, eventually that has to come to an end. But no, he put another one in the stands on another opening day, make it 6 in a row. That is just incredible.
Mark DeRosa called it this morning on MLB Network. And also, I'm sorry, I didn't catch her name, but really, really sharp young lady. She picked the homeless A's to go to the divisional series in the American League.
Whoa, okay. I'm all
Remember
for
the
it.
day, I just like them not to be last.
Yeah, you just like him improving.
and Kotsay to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll get her, and she was sharp. But I think fairly new on MLB Network and really enjoyed it. Don't you, Brian? Big number was almost created for baseball.
Oh, man. The numbers that you could, any day, the rest of the baseball season, we could both come in and say, the rest of the baseball season, playoffs and everything included, we're both going to do just Major League Baseball big numbers.
It's a mountain
and we
of
would never come in with the same big number.
It's what, for better or for worse, it's what made me what I am, is baseball. And the back of the baseball card and all that. My big number is 46. That's 46 Sweet 16 appearances for Kentucky. That's the most of this Sweet 16. Duke with 34, Michigan State with 22, Arizona 21, Michigan 19, Houston 17, 16 for Purdue, 15 for both Arkansas and Maryland, and they both have won a national championship. Arkansas in 94, Maryland in 2002. Bama and Florida with 12 each, Tennessee with 11, Texas Tech with 9, Auburn and BYU with 6, and Ole Miss with 2.
Wow.
Can't get to 3 until you get to 2, though.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, I'm just glad we got these games back going tonight, and only a little more than an hour now. I just got to say, a little peek behind the curtains, Brett. I did it. We always talk about it off air of doing it. I just did it where I looked over to the clock and I said, oh my gosh, it's already 4:55. I mean,
True.
It is.
One of those.
I knew we were doing big number. We do big number the same day every single day, but I don't know. It just hit me. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Holy
Fly
cow.
by. We love content.
No, man.
I love it, Brian, when people come up to me and they mean it really well.
Yeah.
They say, oh man, you're loaded today. I don't ever say it because I'm afraid how it would come off.
Mm-hmm.
We're loaded every day.
Oh yeah.
We're blessed every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, some days are busier than others. Some appear to be more loaded than others. And on those days that don't appear to be very loaded, that's when we have to make it loaded.
That's right, yeah. But content all over the place in the sports world. And so, yeah, never a slow day. But, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, that first game, I've said it so many times already, that first game between BYU and Alabama cannot come soon enough.
Get your track shoes on.
I'm ready for it. Let's run. But
Duck Kazarian made a point about BYU out of timeouts, side out of bounds, under the goal out of bounds. He's coaching at a high level, and help is on the way.
Yeah, no, he really has been really impressive what he's been able to do in year one. And like you said, I mean, it's only going to get better. Number one player, a number one recruit coming in. They'll make some noise in the transfer portal. So yeah, that's a team. Already look out for them with what they're doing this year, but definitely going into next year. But let's go ahead and wrap up this second hour. And when we return, we're talking all things Tigers. Greg Gaston, he joins us. We'll talk about the basketball team, their loss against Colorado State, the off season that is now upon us. We'll also talk some spring football with them. Tigers, they've been out practicing, and obviously a big battle for the quarterback position. We'll talk all of that next with Greg Gaston.
Gary York, I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 912715199.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
We are ready to beat anyone on your new Hyundai from Gossett Hyundai on the Pike during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Plus, you get America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Listen to this, Mid-South 2024 Hyundai Venue Limited. We Gossett 22,317. How about 2024 Hyundai Elantra Limited? We Gossett 24,997. 2025 Hyundai Elantra SEL Convenience 25,260. And 2024 Hyundai Sonata SEL Standard 26,353. This is what deals are made of at Gossett Hyundai 1870 Covington Pike. Online, HyundaiGossett.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
MSRP 25160. Elantra RU 821 MSRP 28780. Convenience SU 856 185. MSRP 27020. Sonata RA 415 696. MSRP 29110. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895. Excludes tax title and license. See for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still working with a couple of accidents. Busy where you would expect on all the major outbound routes, especially traveling through the Midtown area on 240 southbound here at South Parkway as that traffic pushes south of Memphis down through South Haven into DeSoto County. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters. This bridal season that's coming up, shop local, save a ton of money at Weimer's Jewelry out there on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Original sports station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jack Wiley.
Say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk Tigers. We do it every single week, and plenty to talk about this time with spring football starting, with the off season for basketball getting started. We do it every week with Greg Gaston.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 mornings, along with Nari Savoy from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us every week to talk Tigers. Greg, let's go all the way back to that matchup against Colorado State. We broke it down with you Thursday afternoon, and it kind of played out the way you said it would. You know, offensively, Colorado State runs a really nice offense, and you saw that in the second half. A really good start for the Tigers. Got it inside to Dane Danger. He played extremely well in the first half. Got a little tired there in the second half. I think a little bit of the fatigue was showing, and Colorado State was able to capitalize. What were your takeaways from that first-round loss for Penny Hardaway and his team?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. It's hard to believe it's almost been a week since that happened. And, yeah, we talked to you, or I talked to you guys just hours before they tipped off on Friday morning. And, boy, oh, boy, it was depressing because it's a season that was so good up to that point and the high hopes, and it just, like, in a flash, it's over. But as far as the performance in that game, first half lead, despite not having a couple of players, a very important part of that being Tyrese Hunter and then a backup point guard in Damian Harris, you still were in a pretty good position. And then in the second half, you just mentioned, Brian, there was a couple of things. One, Dane Danger, Penny forced to play this guy the entire game, couldn't even get him a minute or two rest, and it ended up backfiring a bit because he was certainly out of gas. And I don't think it was anything that Colorado State did to adjust. I think Danger just ran out of juice there, and he was so dominant in the first half. And then the strategy defensively by Colorado State was excellent. They wanted to clog the middle, make it very tough for Haggerty, force Haggerty to take more jump shots, not send him to the line like he's used to doing. So they did a very good job with that. Memphis forced to make some shots from the outside, and early on, Rogers made a few, and then he goes down with an injury, and that certainly hampered things as well. So you're talking about if you believe in jinxes and things of that nature, I mean, everything seemed to go against Memphis to win that ball game. But I give a lot of credit to Colorado State. I thought the game plan was absolutely terrific. Offensively, yes, they are a fine-tuned machine. They really moved the ball well, and they had the Tigers chasing. And a lot of times they chased to no avail, and they hit wide open threes. And certainly when you have Baraka Okoje, who's not used to to being in there as a starter defensively. While he's a pretty good man-to-man defender, he was having a tough time recognizing the mismatches and the movement of the ball by Colorado State, and he had a tough time on the perimeter. And I thought they were able to really take advantage of that. And again, it was a really good effort by Colorado State. So I don't want to take anything away from them. And a very disappointing finish to the Tiger season.
And Greg, we talked about it for a long time on Monday, as you guys have, as it has been in the market all week, and will continue to be. And the kind of the cheeky little saying right now of two things can be true at the same time. Well, in this case, there can be about 100 things true at the same time. You got to be fair and say, I think things would have ended differently with a healthy Tyrese Hunter. Might have if the backup had been in there. It's just very difficult to win a game with your third-string quarterback, and that's what the Tigers were kind of trying to do on the hardwood in the NCAA tournament. And the cruel factor of how the basketball season ends, I've said it consistently for years, especially with a team like the Tigers, the better seed, the 5 losing to the 12, and everybody kind of sitting on liftoff for a potential run, and then poof, it's over. All these things add up to Penny Hardaway does not need to be ripped, does not need to be ridiculed, and no serious person is suggesting that he should be fired. But in the end, now this is 7 years left, very very wanting.
Look, there's a lot to dissect there, and I completely understand the things you're saying, and they should all be looked at and talked about and evaluated. So first things first, and we agree upon the fact that, look, there's only one winner in every league, in every sport. It comes down to one champion. But it just seems more cruel in basketball. It's one game.
Sure does.
It's 2 hours or sometimes maybe a little bit more. That's it. Baseball can linger. You have a series. Football, I know, is one game, but it's a longer. It just seems so quick that, oh my gosh, the basketball season is done. And then you look around the league and you go, wait a minute, UAB still playing and North Texas is still playing, and Tulane hasn't even started their event out in Vegas, this Crown tournament. So, and Memphis is done, and they beat all those teams. So it's cruel, but that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Yes, you can certainly look at it two different ways and go, okay, this is a really, really good bounce back from what happened last year. Last year at this time, Penny was distraught. Tiger fans were distraught. They didn't know which direction they were going in. There was a lot of things happening. Then eventually they get the new AD in the summer, and then the season goes drama-free, and they do a lot of really positive things. But you have a thump to the end of the season. Now, Hunter, Harris, maybe they win the game. I'm not going to sit here and say they automatically win if they're playing, but you have a better opportunity because Hunter is your leader out there. He is your quarterback, as you said. But again, we don't know. We don't know for sure. All we know is factually they lost that game. And so while people can still be positive about the season, which I have been, and I've had a lot of these back and forth debates on the show, Sports 56 mornings from 7 to 10, shameless plug, but I mean between Eli and myself, between some listeners and me, or listeners and Eli, I mean it's going back and forth. It is not all one that believe that it was still a positive year. There are some that believe because they were a 5 seed and lost in the first round, it was maybe something a little bit short of being a disaster. I don't think that way. I think that this was a positive season. Now, when you want to look at the totality of it, the bottom line is 7 seasons, as you said. 1 was a COVID year, obviously, and there's still only 1 tournament win to be had. Is this all on Penny? Is this a downfall of the program? Do we think too highly of what the program is, even though they've had some really good runs historically, different eras of Tiger basketball? I mean, there's a lot of things to look at, Brett, but I think no question you can look at a season being a positive, yet being completely disappointed, but also in wonder of what is to come in the future when still it's only 1 tournament win to show for 7 seasons.
Yeah, Greg, and about that COVID year, I think we're a little bit rewriting history around the Tigers with that. Let's remember the Tigers down the stretch of that year finished finished 4-5. They were the 6th seed, and that was the year they got beat 80-40 by Tulsa. It's
No,
not
you're
like,
right. You're right.
It's not like, you know, that they were reserving the trophy case for the national championship trophy.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, people bring it up. They just want to throw it as a caveat. I do it as well too. But yeah, yes, absolutely. It's 7 years of basketball and one tournament win.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that the season has come to an end, that means we got to look towards next year. And transfer portal's already started. It's the best time for Tiger basketball, right? It's who's coming in, who's leaving. Jared Harris, Brocco Koje, both those guys entered the transfer portal. Any surprise to you about either of those guys?
No, not at all. And look, I don't like it. I don't think it's fun. I don't think fans like it either, unless they want a complete overhaul of a roster every single year. Coaches have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. It's a lot more on their plate. So I don't know if this is really a good thing. I mean, an additional player or replacing the players that would normally leave because of graduation or maybe going to the NBA early. Now it's, no, we're leaving because we're looking at the best offers out there. We're overhauling the roster. The other way to look at it is, well, for teams that didn't have a good roster to begin with, they dump players, they say goodbye, they move on, they go free agency, and they put together a completely different roster. In the case of Memphis, as you mentioned, a couple of guys that are going in the portal, makes a lot of sense. I would imagine in the exit interviews, Penny was I'm sure he was honest with these guys and what their future was with the team. And look, Brocco Koje, I don't know what the expectations were coming in. It was almost like Jalen Young last year. Mm-hmm. That maybe the expectations were a little bit too high, and then when we saw him really under the microscope on Friday, he wasn't the player they needed him to be. So he's going to look for greener pastures somewhere. With Jared Harris, not to be confused with Damian Harris, he's a freshman who just didn't get a lot of opportunities. And he's going to look at other possibilities where maybe he'll get more playing time. And who knows? If he stayed, maybe he would get more playing. We don't know, though. There's too much uncertainty, so you can understand him jumping in the portal. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple of players that they would like to stay. Obviously, P.J. Haggerty's at the top of the list, but I believe that they want P.J. Carter to stay, and they want Damian Harris, who has another year of eligibility. They want him to stay. And so these are guys right now that you haven't heard anything about them jumping in the portal. They're looking right now to see what Memphis is going to do. And from everything I've heard, and I've talked to some people in the know, financially, they're pretty good where they are. Now, I'm not saying they have Alabama money or Ohio State money, but they got pretty good money for basketball. They got a good collective. They do a really good job. So that's first and foremost. Priority number one is to keep Haggerty. Now, Haggerty may turn around with his family and other people that he confides in, and maybe tries to go to the NBA, or maybe he wants a different situation. Sure, there are some schools out there that can and probably will, and probably have already done so, offered more money. Doesn't guarantee the highest bidder always gets that player. Good chance they will. But I think he really, really liked being in Memphis, and he saw his game grow under Penny Hardaway. So we'll see what happens there. But that's the one that's going to set the domino effect in play for all these other possibilities. Now, I do know that they got a couple of players coming in. I know it's been reported out there. I confirmed that they do have at least 2 guys coming in. They're trying to also set up interviews with 2 other players, including a big. There's other things out there. And let's not forget, even though I think this is going to fall on deaf ears because we know that Memphis has not had a good run with the NCAA, but they are really trying to get Dane Danger that waiver and to get that extra year. So I know that is also a priority right now in the offseason.
Greg, the criticism, some of it, I haven't heard it from anybody very serious that's been over the top about Penny Hardaway. Most of it is mostly out there in the Twitter sphere. Who cares?
Sure.
But you were here for the end of Coach Larry Finch. It does not compare. It does not come close to comparing to the ridicule and the criticism that Larry Finch had to go through. And Larry Finch was a much more prominent basketball person and coach at that time than Penny Hardaway is now. You don't think Penny Hardaway has the right at all to feel beleaguered, do you?
No, look, and let's go back in time with Larry Finch. Remember, it was well before social media where people that wanted to comment could comment. And Larry Finch, he was a beloved figure, just like Penny Hardaway was a beloved figure, and had so much success as a player and then as a coach, and unceremoniously was let go, much to the distraught of people around the city who were not happy with what R.C. Johnson did. And yet you move on, and eventually you land John Calipari, and things became pretty quick to kind of forget about what had happened. But yeah, that was the case with Larry. With Penny Hardaway, it's a little bit different because Penny Hardaway is living in the world of social media. So whether or not he's on X or he's on this or he's on that, the word gets out. And while there's a lot of people that certainly support him through thick and thin, there are people that do not. And so there's much more criticism of what he has or hasn't done yet. So that's out there, and it can affect people in different ways. Some people, it's water off their back. Other people, they're affected by it. But last year, I think it hit bad with everybody when the season ended, what Penny did, how he reacted with that one interview he did. The whole thing was a real mess. And that's when a lot of people came out and said, enough is enough. You're going to move on. And, I know that we talked about they're going to, the new AD is a possibility. I don't know if that had been decided yet that Larry was leaving. But there was a lot of things still that were moving around, moving pieces. But even as bad as that was last year, while some people wanted to change, it wasn't going to happen. I think that was what we always said on the show, was it's not going to happen, so save your breath.
Nor should.
Right. But especially this year. Now, again, if you want to look at the totality and go, one tournament win just doesn't cut it 7 years, well, this is a bad time to bring it up. They had, again, I go back to what I started this segment with. They had a good year. This isn't the time now to say, hey, make a change with the coach. I thought he became a better coach, an X's and O's guy, a strategist. He's got a ways to go. He still gets out-coached time to time, but I thought he out-coached guys. Remember, for all the criticism he got from Friday's game, that Nedved coached circles around him, well, does that mean Penny coached circles around Dan Hurley and Tom Izzo and all the games they won earlier in the year? So I think Penny, and I've seen a lot of games, I think Penny did a really good job in not only coaching X's and O's, but dealing with his players. When something wasn't going on, he didn't just give them a pat on the butt and say, oh, that's fine. The player's coach, he got mad, took a player out, put him on the bench, didn't start a player. So he was more of a disciplinarian. Then you go out there and you put a team together. We don't know what that team was going to do. Nobody had an idea what that team was going to do. And all of a sudden, they got chemistry from the beginning. They make the hard moves that they had to make before the season, which certainly had people up in arms and worried, but it worked out very well. It was drama-free the whole season, and they went out and won a conference championship and a conference tournament championship. And then there's the people that say, well, you should win because you got the most talent. Yeah, they should, but it doesn't automatically mean that you do it. And they did it, and they're still criticized for it. They get it's almost like it didn't seem like they were getting a lot of respect for the wins earlier in the season, but eventually the committee did give them that respect. Then they go out there and they win the conference tournament, taking care of business. So they win both. They earn themselves a 5 seed. And then, as we've talked about ad nauseum, what happened last Friday was bad. But no, there's no reason why Penny should be in a different place than he was last year. Last year, he closed the offices up, kicked everybody out. He was quiet. He did that one interview, and he criticized a lot of people in Memphis and the fans, and he went after the media. And now he just seems like he's a completely different person. He's taking blame for things that have happened this year when they've lost a game or had a bad situation in a game, maybe barely squeaking one out. He would say, that's on me. He took the blame. He didn't defer to any of the players or deflect any of the players. So I think he has matured as a player, as a human being, as a leader of that program. And so talking about a change now, and again, it's not being talked about by a lot of people, some are, is absolutely ridiculous.
I agree. I think it is ridiculous. Greg, if you could, from the day it was official, with helicopters circling around his home and protesters outside of it, but John Calipari was on his way to Kentucky. The Tigers have an opening for the basketball job. That's 16 springs ago. Can you believe that? 16 springs ago, right now. What do you think the biggest mistake, if you could have a redo in that time, what would it be for Tiger basketball?
Whew, that's a good question. The biggest mistake that they made. I don't think it necessarily was a mistake to end up hiring Josh Pastner. I do for who they could have hired, and we know. Tell me, who could they have hired?
Scott Drew. And Scott Drew wanted it, and was sabotaged by some here that still have a very loud voice. They should never speak up again, being so hard to deny Scott Drew. Okay, so you don't hire Scott Drew, but you get Bruce Pearl. You don't hire Scott Drew, or you get Leonard Hamilton. You don't hire Scott Drew, but you get Mike Anderson. You sabotage Scott Drew for Josh Pastner.
Yeah, look, it was the easy way out, right? It was the easy thing for RC to do. You're right. I completely forgot about the whole Scott Drew thing, and I don't know how extensive his search was, if it even was. But Josh was on his way to Kentucky. I mean, literally on his way to Kentucky, and then he got the call and got the offer, and sure, he's going to jump on it. Now, for a while there, he was getting some players. Let's not forget that he was getting some recruits, and some of the recruits that he got under John Calipari, I mean, were big time. So and of course, John had to complete the deal. You know, you end up playing for John Calipari, for goodness sakes. But Josh Pastner is a good recruiter. So he went out there and he got some of the names. They went to the tournament where they went 2, I think, under his regime.
Yeah.
2 tournament dubs. It started out okay, and then it faded. So I was going to say, once that happened and they decided to move on from Pastner, and I can tell you this, when they hired Tubby Smith, I was for it. But then I quickly realized that, man, I'm off the mark on this one, because Tubby, as great as he was, and with a national championship under his belt, he came in and it seemed like just went through the motions. He got his checks. He play, I don't know if he plays golf or whatever, but he wasn't doing the things that was needed.
He did. He was at Southwind a lot.
Right. I appreciate him coming on my show and talking and all that. I mean, the guy really knows his basketball. But gosh, bless it. I mean, he wasn't going out there and shaking hands and kissing babies and promoting the basketball program. And so from the end of the Pastner era through Tubby Smith, it was like, forget about it. Memphis basketball all of a sudden became, for a while there, for a long time, while the Grizzlies were here, Memphis basketball was still number 1, right? Still number 1. Not even a question. And then once they started to, the Grizzlies just took over. With the core 4, they just took over, and it didn't help that the Tigers were kind of out of sight, out of mind. They weren't winning as many games as they should. They weren't going to the tournaments. Tubby was going through the motions. And so when the Penny hiring happened, it ignited the city. And so everybody was excited about that. But 7 years later, again, still just a 1 tournament win.
How many more years can that carry?
That's one thing that I don't have an answer for, and I have contemplated that question as well. I mean, on several levels. 1, Penny Hardaway wants to win. This is killing Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway wants to win as much as anybody else. So we know that. He's a native son. He could go anywhere. He's still here. But he can't go anywhere to coach. But if something happens where there's an NBA offer, not as a head coach, but maybe as an assistant, does he want to change gears, or does he want to stay here as long as they want to have him here until he gets the job done? So that's question number 1. The next question is about the future of where Memphis will be. Will they still continue to be in the American Conference? Will one day they be joining a Big East or joining an ACC, or will something happen where the PAC becomes a pretty valuable entity for TV contracts, and all of a sudden Memphis gets another? I don't know. I can't look into a crystal ball. But for right now, you have to produce. You have to win in the tournament. You have to win in the NCAA tournament. But again, this is probably not the time to go, Yeah, it was bad. No, this was a good year for Memphis, but it was back to being a stepping stone year. So to answer your question, Brett, I don't know. I can't say is it 2 years, it's 3 years. Remember, Ed Scott is still not. He hasn't been here one full year, and so that's the guy you're going to have to please. That's the guy who wants to take Memphis to that next stratosphere, to that next level, and he's evaluating these coaches every single day. But you're stuck between a rock and a hard place when you're an AD walking in and dealing with a legend. And that's what happened with R.C. Johnson. I mean, you get paid to make those big decisions. They may not always be the right decision. They may not always be the most popular decision. I couldn't make that decision. I got to be honest with you. I couldn't pull the plug on a legend, knowing that the backlash would be so negative. But, I mean, you've got to be able in the next couple seasons produce some success in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep in the back of your mind. And we know, even though the season's over, it's still going to be very, very busy with the transfer portal and off-season. Last thing for you, how long do you think this waiting game is for P.J. Haggerty on a decision to enter the transfer portal, not to enter the transfer portal, try to go and at least get some feedback for the draft? How long until we get some sort of announcement from P.J. Haggerty?
Yeah, I mean, it could take some time, but I keep hearing that within the next week or two, maybe a decision will be made. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have to wait and see. Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank
We'll
you,
talk
Greg.
to you again next week.
Always great, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Greg Gaston joining us to talk Tigers and a whole lot of Tiger basketball talk with the season coming to an end, off-season getting started. I thought, Greg, a lot of really good stuff to say about this season and kind of where the program is at as a whole. We got to get to a break here in a second, but before we do that, let me remind you about Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team, they're ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there. Test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Discover your next ride at Gossett Kia on the Pike. You'll find 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. How about 2025 Kia K5 GT line? We Gossett at $199 a month. 2025 Kia Telluride S with more power, larger cargo bed area, and more ground clearance than Nissan Pathfinder $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease. Plus every Gossett Kia comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime. KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
K4 SEO 87712, MSRP 25320, K5 S53 28285, MSRP 28455, Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 4/2/25.
Briggs Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Briggs Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Briggs can accommodate all of your powder coating needs.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code YEAR to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right? Your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Plus finance through KFA, K4 SEO 87712, MSRP 25320, K5 S53 28285, MSRP 28455, Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title and license with approved credit, dealer stock only, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 4225.
Hey, I tracked down my buddy Jeff Allen over at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Hey, what's up, brother?
We're ready to rock over here, Randy. 2025 Kia K4 LXS, $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia K5 GT Line, $199 a month. And a 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive with more power, larger cargo area, and more ground clearance than a Nissan Pathfinder, $398 a month. All $49.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So if you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
That's Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, online anytime, KiaMountMoriah.com.
This traffic report brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still a bit of traffic trying to get out of the Midtown area. Hadn't been too bad there this afternoon as far as serious wrecks, but it's still building on 240 North up by Lamar. It's only going to get busier in the next few minutes on 240 East from Mill Branch out to 385. Yes, we see that steady flow of traffic over here on 40 East at Sycamore View Road all the way out past Germantown Parkway, continuing on out into Fayette County. If your yard needs a little bit of help, maybe you want the grass greener and healthier, call Lawn Solutions right now at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you live and local from our Family Leisure Studios. And Brett, maybe I owe you an apology. I mean, 3-0 lead for the Cardinals. Maybe we do like the lineup. I don't know. I mean, it's still very early, but so far so good for the Cardinals.
Here's how early it is. Bottom of the second. In game 1 of 162.
That's right. Yeah.
That's really early.
But, I was thinking about this earlier today. Do you remember last year when we were sitting here going, you know what? Cardinals didn't look so bad against the Dodgers on the road. I think it was the second week of the season.
Started out there.
Oh man, look at the Cardinals. They didn't play too bad.
That really wasn't a win as a win. It was that loss wasn't so bad.
Exactly. I think they won the next series or something like that. We're going, okay, maybe we got something here. Nobody's going to beat the Dodgers this year, and then it turned out into a really bad season.
Here's another one on the Arenado starts on opening day at third base for the Cardinals. The record is 11 opening day starts at third base by Ken Boyer, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. Second, Ken Reitz, and then with 6, Whitey Kurowski. I don't have anything on him. Terry Pendleton, my favorite Cardinal third baseman of all time. Matt Carpenter with 6. Old Milt Stock from 1919 to 1923.
Old Milt.
And Scott Rowland with 5, and Nolan Arenado joined him today with 5. Scott Rowland's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, he is.
Ken Boyer should be.
Yes.
Terry Pendleton was National League MVP one year with the Braves.
Wow. Nolan Arenado in good company.
Yeah.
You love to see it. You absolutely love to see it.
You got anything on Milt Stock?
I don't. There were several names you listed in there that I
Whitey Karofsky?
Honestly, I don't got much on him. Don't really have much of anything on any
Ken
of
Reeks
those
was
guys.
good. Old number 44, all defense.
I love it. I love a good defensive third baseman.
Whitey Herzog said you could time him with a sundial. He was so slow.
Well, as long as you're doing something out there, I guess that's really all that matters. We haven't talked a lot about it. I don't know. I guess we'll talk about it now. Grizzlies in action tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Road game against OKC. Really has not gone the Grizzlies' way at all against the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. Really hadn't gone anybody's way against the OKC Thunder this season. But I mentioned it earlier. After this game, you have those 3 home games against 3 really high-quality opponents, high-quality brands. And you need to make some damage in that 3-game homestand, especially in that first game, in that last game. Lakers right in front of you, Warriors right behind you. You don't want to get on another one of these losing streaks and then look up after this 3-game homestand and, now Lakers are even more, in front of you, and the Warriors are even closer behind you. So it feels like next week at home is going to be a very big week for the Grizzlies.
A lot of times in Grizzlies world, after a road win, especially Rob Fisher and others, will hashtag. Is that still a thing?
Mm-hmm.
They will hashtag happy flight and take boarding the flight after a win. Tonight they should en masse, win or lose, all hashtag happy flight, kiss the ground, home sweet home. And Keith Smith said it. The first game and the third game of that 3-game big series against the big names, that's the ones you need to win. You got to beat the Lakers, and you have to win against Golden State. Boston, that's not going to do a lot.
I mean, a win's a win. Cool. If it happens, it happens. But, that doesn't mean as much as wins over the Lakers and the Warriors would mean.
And Keith also said any time of the year is a win goes a long way. They all count, whether it's game 19 or right here at the end. But here at the end, when you beat Golden State, you beat the Lakers, it clips off 2 on that magic number.
No, it absolutely. I mean, wins are wins no matter when they come. But this late in the season, especially when it's teams that are around you in the standings, those wins mean a little bit more because what they can do in those standings. I should bring this up. Yesterday, the Grizzlies put out the status report for tonight's game. Lamar Stevens listed as questionable. Marvin Bagley still in concussion protocol. And then Ja Morant still out with that left hamstring strain. We're getting awfully close to playoff time, and it's been a while that Ja Morant has been out. I understand that, with those lower body injuries, with those hamstrings, you want to be very delicate with it because you come back and, you land the wrong way, you fall the wrong way, it can be even more damage. But I continue to bring it up. Haven't gotten that kind of medical update that it feels like we get a lot of times with these players. We haven't seen that with Ja Morant, and that kind of bothers me a little bit.
With Ja, they're always they play the cards very close.
Yes, they do.
And then sometimes when you least expect kind of the return, you get the better update news, and then from people that cover the team really, really closely, then you get the news that he's in there for tonight. We will do Showboat Bankroll tomorrow.
Yeah, we will.
Me and you had landed. Right now, Michigan 5.5-point favorite. Just a cursory look at these UFL lines, Bryant. The over and unders are much bigger for this opening weekend than in years past.
Yeah.
They're all in the 37, 38 and up neighborhood. Okay. When we had a couple last year opening weekend in the high 20s, low 30s.
Yeah, and I remember talking about that last year, saying, well, at least Vegas thinks that the defense is going to kind of rule the league on opening weekend. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's good. And I think, we were talking, earlier with Steve Macy, and he kind of said, last year, I I finally found, we talked about it yesterday. I know we talked about it off air. I don't know if we talked about it on air, about, Showboat's game notes going out for the game. And I was able to find them. You got it sent to your email. I did not. I had to go and stumble across them.
I'll forward them to you.
Please do. I was looking at it. I mean, dead last in offense last year. And, Steve Macy talking about how he thinks the offense this year is going to be more exciting, kind of more open. And, I think that might be a league-wide thing. And certainly here, you'd love to see it, and I think would get more people excited if that brand of football is a little more kind of fast-paced and fun offensively, getting points on the board.
How about the Southsiders? You think anybody's there singing the 162-0 song? Is Connor?
Well, Connor, I got a text message, "We are back," in all caps when the game went final. So, yes, he was locked in on the White Sox. I don't know how many other people were locked in on the White Sox.
In a crisp 2 hours and 21 minutes on the South Side.
That's a quick game.
8-1.
It was very, very
White
quick
Sox.
game. Good for them. Hey, and you're going to see a lot of that. Welcome to the new era of baseball where you're getting in and out in about 2.5 hours. Oh, yeah.
Giants 6-4 over the Reds. That's the final. 12-2 Orioles over Blue Jays. 4-2 Yankees over the Brewers, and the historic Austin Wells leadoff home run. First time in Major League Baseball history, a catcher led off a game with a home run.
It's insane. Had something brewing there in the ninth inning. Brewers down 4-1. Got some guys on, was able to score a run. I believe had guys on second and third with only one out. Ended up not being able to get any more runs in. That was the first game on ESPN today. We'll have another one starting here soon. Tigers and Dodgers. Going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, the Dodgers already 2-0 on the season. And I think a lot of people think it's going to be a really good year for them again. But this Tiger team, it feels like every year start getting better, and they'll go with Trick Skubal tonight, and he is electric. If he can continue doing what he did last year, that could be a pitcher's duel tonight in L.A.
Yeah, I heard Joe Buck talking about the catcher leading off, and he said he mentioned his dear friend Tim McCarver, and Joe Buck came into Memphis for the Tim McCarver service, and they said people that were there said he was just phenomenal in his eulogy and remembrance of his great friend Tim McCarver. But he said nothing would make Tim McCarver madder than he runs like a catcher, because Tim McCarver could really run and was a big-time high school football player and had committed to play for Bud Wilkinson and those mighty Oklahoma Sooner teams, the greatest teams of the day, before signing that bonus at Kimbrough Towers that changed his life. 17-year-old bonus baby, and it was huge money for any time, but especially for 1957.
Oh yeah, then that will make that decision a lot easier.
Where'd I sign?
Especially in those times. That makes it
football's
a lot easier.
over.
Yes, I will go play baseball. How about this? Another crazy number from today. Mackenzie Gore, the starting pitcher for the Washington Nationals, 13 strikeouts in 6 innings in today's start. Right now, that game tied against the Phillies 3-3. So a really good outing for Mackenzie Gore. Guy I've loved watching Mackenzie Gore pitch for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Has had trouble, but certainly a good start for him. And that is, I don't have the exact number. I saw it earlier somewhere. That is a record for opening day start, 13 strikeouts. Maybe the Nationals improved this season.
Will be some wild ERA and batting averages for about 6 weeks, won't it?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely will be.
And Landon, I owe you a correction. I said Bobby Witt's dad pitched for your Mets. He did not. Never pitched a single outing for him. Most of his career with the Rangers, and then at the end with a couple of different teams, including the Cardinals, but never the Mets. I'm sorry. I wanted to correct that.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Thank you.
It's good. That's big of him. To forgive you. Last thing I want to get in, this just coming out from DeMichael Cole, obviously speaking with Taylor Jenkins ahead of tonight's game. As Morant still is out, we just mentioned that, but Taylor Jenkins said tonight that Morant is in the day-to-day phase of a return. quote, "It was something that happened in the game. It was kind of what came out of the Cleveland game. He's making a lot of great progress. He's working his tail off to get back out there. We're excited to get him back out there. He is too." So sounds like getting closer to a return for Ja Morant. So good news there from our friend DeMichael Cole as we get ready for tonight's game against the Thunder. Well, let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day, and when we return, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with a perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family of berries, still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Take your best shot during the Dunkin' Deals sales event at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. We're loaded with new and used inventory. And a huge selection of vehicles under $50,000. Huge rebates, big discounts, and lower discounts on new vehicles. All at Sunrise. Worried about your credit? Don't be, because we work hard to get you Don't miss the Dunkin' Deals sales event going on now at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. We make it fun to buy a car.
All financing on approved credit. Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before. Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, you're staying. You want to be overpaid. Call 1-888-FREE or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREE or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Solutions uniformed up, looking good. You bring their 20 years of experience in lawn and shrub care to your property. Lawn Solutions, we control
Nation, make plans for the Grizzlies return to Memphis and catch your Grizz take on LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers this Saturday. The defending champion Boston Celtics March 31st and Steph Curry and the Warriors April 1st. Visit Grizzlies.com to buy tickets and for more information on tip times, giveaways, game nights, and more.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Corky's barbecue. Cooking it up. Down home way. Hickory smoke flavor like the good old days.
just getting started. So.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver had a lot to say today about various things. We talked about it earlier in the show when Keith Smith joined us, but he said that, the All-Star Game format that he rolled out for this year, it was a miss. It didn't work in his mind, and that they would not be going with that same format next year. And obviously next year, being a big year with it being NBC's first year hosting NBA games and the All-Star Game in this new package. So what will it look like? I don't know. I mentioned it with Keith that the story I was reading mentioned that the All-Star Game will be going on around the same time as the Winter Olympics, maybe play into USA versus the world or something there. I don't know what the answer is. At the end of the day, it is an All-Star Game. He also talked about how they're moving faster and with more kind of going into more of the idea of having something in Europe, whether it is an annual competition between NBA teams against European teams or just European teams, just NBA teams, or an actual European league governed by the NBA. And then Keith mentioned that he also talked about how expansion is right around the corner following this sale of the Celtics. So it feels like a lot happening in the NBA.
What I learned today is LeBron James, of course, does not like how the media covers the NBA. What a gigantic big baby that he is. He wants nothing but adoration and supplication. Imagine if this guy ever got rough treatment. I don't know that he deserves too rough a treatment because he's so good.
Right.
His talents are so prodigious. But if he ever had was in a market where it was really rough and tumble, he would really cry himself to sleep every night.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, his Pat McAfee interview yesterday was it was interesting to say the least.
To go after Brian Windhorst.
Yeah, I certainly was not a huge fan of that. What I could have done without, I just saw this video during the break. Kevin Willard, they're obviously getting ready for their Sweet 16 game tonight against Florida. And as we know, we've seen the videos of other places. We've seen the videos with Memphis of the team hotel, all the fans that are there, they gather there, send the team off to the arena. Well, tonight, Maryland fans did just that. But when Kevin Willard walked down the hallway, some of the fans started booing him.
Go team, go. Not you, though.
Yes, and we're booing the head coach. We talked about it earlier. It is basically all but done that he will be the next Villanova coach. It's been weird how he's handled this. He had the interview last week during the tournament where he was asked about his future, and he kind of said, well, we don't have an athletic director. We don't have any NIL money, so I don't know. And now all signs pointing to him being the next coach at Villanova. So
well, they didn't have AD when they had an AD and Damon Evans. So.
That is a good point, but definitely looks like things are getting weird in Maryland.
I am so glad. I'm so glad that Dan Hurley is out of the tournament. It can always do without him. Just a bore of a human. And here's the difference in the coverage by the college basketball first medium versus the college football first medium. About Dan Hurley, he's driven. He's just intense. He just wants to win so much. You flip that over to the college football media and how they cover. How college football media covers Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
Vilified, ridiculed all the time. Both of them have 2 national championships.
That's true. Yeah. Dabo maybe a little less intense than Dan Hurley, which is probably a good thing, but Dan Hurley definitely lets it fly. I love Dan Hurley, though. Where are you beaming tonight?
In my best Tony Bennett, San Francisco. I'm not going to sing, though. Gators and Terps first, and then the whole Southwest Conference battle with Texas Tech going against the Razorbacks. For me, that feels like a Tuesday night on Raycom with Gerald Myers going against Eddie Sutton with Frank Falone and his son, that I can't remember his name, calling the action.
Oh, man, it's going to be fun. How could you not beam?
Father-son duo.
That's awesome. That really is good stuff. But how could you not beam to the Sweet 16? And I got to beam to the game I've been talking about all week long. BYU Alabama feels like going to be a fast-paced, really fun game. If you like the offenses, they're going to be there. Defenses, they might have been left at home. Also, number one overall recruit, A.J. DeBonza, he'll be in the building tonight supporting his future team.
Sweet 16, I think more chalk. Grizzlies, 8 straight losses to Oklahoma City, 5 straight at Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. We'll watch that. World champ Dodgers home against Detroit. Last place Cubs. Last place Cubs in downtown Phoenix against the D-backs, and the homeless A's on the road in Seattle.
Who would have thought White Sox start 1-0, Cubs start 0-2? That's just like every Chicago fan thought it was going to be. But it's going to be a fun night in the sports world. A whole lot of action. Enjoy it all. That's all the time we have. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.